Hello, everybody, and welcome to the OCRP iRacing Series, the Cup Series, here tonight at Daytona for the season opener. It is the Daytona 250 by Wilson Motorsport Design, and that is the man behind a lot of the paint schemes you will see around this amazing 2.5-mile track here tonight. And we are going to get started here in just a few. All right, sorry about that. Had a little bit of a technical difficulty. Had to take care of it. Joe Cortez is in the booth, and he is going to be joining me tonight for the Daytona 250 by Wilson Motorsports Design. Joe, how you doing tonight? You ready for some action with the next gens around Daytona?
I'm ready for 125 laps of fun. Daytona's always a fun track to go to, Jeff, on many different levels. You know, you have multiple line racing, you've got high speeds, you've got high banking. These guys have been waiting all season to get restarted, and I believe we've got a whole lot of new faces in the field as well. So overall, tonight's going to be a really fun night. It's going to be a great shakedown for these guys to figure out the new cars and ultimately how they're going to respond on this monster 2.5-mile super speedway.
And what an incredible week it has been. We kicked everything off with our own speed weeks since we have started the debut of the truck series, which I have been driving in. So we kicked that off on Monday. And if you guys want to watch that, it's Monday on West the Mess 88, his Twitch channel here on Twitch, live right around the same time, 9 p.m. we go racing. So we've got about 6 minutes left here in warm-up/practice, whatever you want to call it. We hit qualifying. The way that works is always like it has been in the past. 5 minutes for qualifying, 5 minutes for the driver's meeting. But, yeah, like you said, a lot of new faces. And iRacing updated this next gen recently, especially for this track. So I'm expecting something different than what we saw last time.
Oh, of course. Well, I mean, again, this effectively is a brand new car for everybody involved. Last season, they were running the Xfinity style cars. This season, they're running these cars, which are a little bit more powerful, a little bit more wonky, and have a completely different suspension underneath them. The double wishbone suspension underneath them will keep these guys on their toes all throughout the night. It'll give them more control, which is a good thing and very, very much a bad thing when you consider it, because these guys are going to be all over the world, as a good friend has once said.
What's funny is we were racing on Monday, and that was with the trucks, and they were very loose in traffic, and it was a lot more swimming than I was comfortable with sometimes. I'm going to be very, very interested to see how these cars stack up next to what we saw out of the trucks, but it was an explosive ending there, and we're watching right here the 81 of Brandon Buggs in his brand new Ford Mustang, the Mountain Dew Spark Ford Mustang that was painted by Tony Wilson, and a lot of the other cars you'll see out here that are painted by Tony Wilson as well. But I talked to Buggs earlier this week. He was very excited about how the truck series race turned out. I think a lot of his fans were more upset about the way that one ended rather than himself. He took it as a learning experience and moves forward with that 81 tonight, but very excited to have that new paint scheme there on the 81.
That 81 really is a pretty car out here. And Tony Wilson, I don't think he gets enough credit, Jeff. I genuinely don't believe he gets enough credit for not only what he contributes to this community, but for, his artistic eye, his style. I think he really does deserve a lot more respect and a lot more credit for than what we give him. So next time you say Tony Wilson's name, be sure to put some respect on that man's name.
100%. And you can see, and there's the 81 and some company getting involved in a crash. I remember we're under, practice here. This is not for anything. So don't get it crossed up. But the
Not
22,
yet.
yeah, the Kansas City Southern Lines, which, Alex Reno, he absolutely loves trains, and that's what that is. But when I saw this one for the first time, it immediately screamed barbecue to me. It looks like a barbecue joint.
It kind of does, doesn't it? In its own way. It also kind of looks like the paint scheme, the South Point paint scheme Brendan Gaughan used to run a long time ago. That's the kind of vibe I saw from it immediately when I first saw it. But it's a very sharp looking car. And what I appreciate about Aviator Alex, as he's known on Twitch, what I appreciate about him and all the cars that he's been running lately is they're all authentic to a real train line that has or is currently running in the United States. So you have to give him a lot of credit for authenticity and his eye and knowledge for all things transportation.
We were just watching there, Ryan Potter in that 60 car hit the wall, but Ryan Potter, our winner from Monday night, and what an incredible finish it was. He was all the way back there in like the 5th, 6th position, and it all came down to that final lap on that green-white checker, and he was the one that got it done. So a big win there for the 60, and here he is tonight. We'll see if he has that luck on his side. We have quite a few new drivers. We're going to try to get to those here shortly. Ones that you may not have seen before. We got Joe Ogle and then Jonathan Orendorf there, and I gotta say, we're gonna have 3 Mountain Dew cars in the field tonight, Joe. We got the 20, we got the 81, and somebody else. Who was the other one? There is another one. I saw it earlier. It was the code Gage Bookman. That's who it was.
So when does your brand deal? When are you announcing this brand deal with Mountain Dew? I just gotta know.
I don't have a brand deal with Mountain Dew at all. And I know the sponsor that Bugs was running on Monday night was the Liquid Death with it, which is a sparkling water, I believe.
I gotta get myself some of that. I keep seeing the ads online, and I agree with what they're saying. Putting it in aluminum keeps it colder longer, and it's better for sustainability for the for recycling. So I gotta get my hands on some of that.
Well, we see the 26 here. It's got G Fuel all over that car, and that's like an impossible sponsorship to get. No matter how hard you try it, I speak from experience. And I genuinely do like G Fuel. What's funny is when I'm drinking G Fuel, I don't drink coffee. Whenever I get into a kick of coffee, I don't drink the G Fuel. I still have some in the cupboard there. But we saw the 26 of Guzman. He was running the Diva car on Monday night, the Overwatch Diva car. Instead of was it Sailor Moon? Whatever it was, but in the prior times,
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon. No, it was something to do with. It was Taylor Swift and Sailor Moon together. It was something to do with that. I think it was Taylor Moon. Actually, is what it was.
Be still, my beating heart. two things that the combination of two things that I find beautiful and holy in this world, and he was putting it on his car. Oh, that could be too much. That could be too much, Jeff.
Just a bit. And here is Mason Pepper here. He is not such a new face, and he's got the Wally's Camaro there. It looks like Wally World, but Wally's is something that I didn't even know what it was. It's like a Buc-ee's basically, and when I was in St. Louis last time, right across the street from the place we were staying was this massive, which looks like a Buc-ee's, but it's called a Wally's. So if you aren't familiar with Wally's, it's pretty much a duplicate of what Buc-ee's is kind of all about.
So when I go to St. Louis, you and we're going to Wally's, huh?
Yes. Well, I mean, I saw it and I didn't even go, but everybody else was all excited about it. But regardless, we're moving into some qualifying here, folks, in just a few moments. Like I said, 10 minutes total, 5 for the qualifying. And honestly, it's Daytona. There's not going to be a lot of need for these drivers to qualify. And we're going to see who decides to not, because Monday when we were in the trucks, I chose to not do it. And so did the other two teammates of mine, Bugs and Ryan, both chose to not qualify. So we wanted to start in the back. So we'll probably see some well-known names deciding to not qualify and ride in the back and just see how things work. But I could tell you, if it's anything like Monday, you're in for one hell of a show. It was all about track position. It was all about having to stay in the front. It was 2x2 pretty much the entire race. The only things that were really scary is anytime those drivers had to lap a car that had lost the draft or was involved in an accident, whatever. Some new things this season is we do have one more fast repair from last season, and that is now 2 fast repairs. You will see some of these drivers utilized, and it's kind of like, hitting the reset button twice here at Daytona, and depending on how that works out for you.
And I'm not opposed to that. I think that's a great rule change that the community voted on. Having the second fast repair, it allows you a little bit more leeway with these cars. If you get involved in an incident, especially in a super speedway where it's very easy to do and it's not your fault whatsoever, you have that second car on the hauler ready to go just in case something happens. I think it'll bring a little bit more parity. I think it'll encourage these guys to race a little bit harder, knowing that they have 2 safety nets underneath them in the worst case scenario. I'm excited about that change, and I really think it's going to make for a lot of fun tonight.
So not only that, we do have a restart zone now, and I'm not sure if they're going to do it tonight at Daytona. Monday we didn't use one, but the rest of the season we will have a restart zone, and the drivers have been briefed on those restart zones, so we won't see any games being played off of the iRacing restarting. Here's Wes the Mess here. Wes Graham, everybody started to put their times down, and it looks like Wes is going to opt to try to make a good time and not start in the back. And you can see that Wilson Motorsports design paint right there, his new one for this season.
88 going into turns 3 and 4 here at Daytona International Speedway. Just to give you a little bit of history on this track, opened in 1957 at a construction cost of $3 million back then. The banking on this track is incredible. 31 degrees in the turns, 18 through the tri-oval, and on the backstretch where he's at now, you see him running about 175, 176. It's only 2 degrees, so you go from literally 31 degrees of banking in that turn. It feels like you're up against a wall, pulling G's like crazy into that nicer, more rounded tri-oval onto a back straightaway. So yeah, it's going to be an incredible run all the way through.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what the drag is going to be like on some of these cars, especially now that they had that update, because what we learned about the truck series and watching that on Monday was that, hey, you can't be pushing on the guy in front of you. You're going to wreck him. It was really, really, really difficult to have any contact. You wanted to do more pushing with air than you did actually physically pushing the guy in front of you, and wait for the last 10 laps before you start doing that. Now I'm excited to see what these cars are going to bring to the table. I was watching in practice earlier, and it seemed like they're able to lean on each other a little bit more than the trucks.
Well, and it's also because these cars have a completely different aero profile than the trucks. With that long bed on the back, that's all kind of dead. That's all kind of, there's lack of weight back there, for lack of a better term. That body style is completely different, so you cannot shove on those trucks nearly as hard as you can with these cars. And I think with the cars out here tonight, it's going to be fun because you'll see 2 wide, 3 wide racing. You'll see guys bumping each other, shoving each other. But I do agree with you, Jeff, because of these new suspensions, because of these composite bodies, the car is lighter, and as a result, if you push somebody the wrong way, if you don't hit them square, or you hit them going into one of those high bank turns, it's going to create chaos for everybody.
There's Robert Bearder making his lap as well, and right now on the pole is Rodriguez, and that is indeed one of the guys from FRN, Flat Out Racing Network. He did the we can hear your keyboard pretty loud there, just to let you know. But anywho, the Rodriguez there. It's gonna be hard to say that really quickly, but he is a part of Flat Out Racing Network and does all the graphic stuff that you're seeing here. Well, he does all the back end stuff there, and then I think he's got a guy that does the actual artwork as well. But good to see him out there, and he's on the pole.
Jeff, it's not a Joe Cortez stream if there's not a clicking keyboard in the background. That's like a trademark of the show. That's a trademark. That's part of what you get when you get the Joe Cortez experience on the track. As we now start to get some of those times come in, Rodriguez on the pole right now. Clint Spells in second, Charles Gray in third, Steinhoff Carpenter rounding out your top 5. And we're still waiting for, it looks like there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to start all the way at the back. As we cycle through that screen once again, we've got over 30 drivers on the field, which will make for some very, very fun racing. But Orndorff, Aaron Beaver, Potter, Wilson, Bugs, Ewing, Skinner, not taking any time so far. 4 minutes left. They still could come out on track, but I've got a feeling they may just be happy to sit back and just wait for everything to happen.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, is that, you're going to have guys that are going to decide to go to the back, and it worked out in Bugs' favor in particular on Monday, so I can see why he would want to do it again. But the biggest thing is you want to avoid the early jitters, the crash that might be coming in the first 10 laps, and then you also have to watch for the one that comes around the middle of the race after those tires start to wear and the cars start moving all over the place, and it's harder to maintain those lines. So I think it's a smart idea to start in the back. However, you see guys like Rodriguez, and look at that, Jeff Spell starting in the second position. That's really good for him. That's where you want to be. In the top 6, you're usually pretty safe up there.
Jeff Spells, not Clint Spells. My apologies. We need to truncate their names. Add a J and C in front of them so we know who we're talking about. In any event, Jeff Spells. Yeah, no, absolutely. If you're going to qualify, you've got to qualify to be on pole at this track. The last thing you want to do is be mid-pack somewhere, stuck in traffic, stuck in all that madness, and get involved in the first big incident of the night. Now, again, these drivers are great at what they do. Their drivers are very professional, they're very fun, and they're very relaxed with each other. You're not going to see anybody take a big swing in the first 10 laps. But that being said, it's not always in your control, Jeff. You know this very well. It's not always in your control. So the best you can do is either start at the very front, very back, and just kind of be aware for whatever happens. If you're in one of those two places, you have more time to react, or not at all if you're in front, and ultimately be able to preserve as much as your car as possible for the later stages of this race.
And going off of that, I mean, that's exactly what it was like on Monday. I mean, I had bad luck, and then I had good luck, and then I had bad luck again. A lot of the times it's just completely out of your control. You see smoke, you start hitting the brakes, and that's one of the biggest things that this league has been pushing for, is guys to stop the ARCA braking, to stop just cold trickling it through a wreck. Hit the brakes when you see smoke, let the caution come out. And the difference is now we're not relying so heavily on iRacing, as we do have a full-time race control now that is going to be at the helm of making those decisions.
And that's great. Being able to have somebody in the control booth to make those decisions and not have to wait on the automation. Now you've got somebody who's in control, who can help navigate the stages of this race and determine when the yellow flag should come out and when it shouldn't, in order to facilitate an orderly and fun race for everybody involved.
Well, I can tell you this. The weather has been fixed, because remember, it used to always be 1 mile per hour. Well, look at this. Winds are southeast at 15 miles per hour, and does affect the cars. It's dynamic weather, meaning that whenever those clouds move over the track, it will cool it down. It will change things up a little bit. Air temperature, 85 degrees, but track temperature right there, 128. These cars might be a little skatey, especially whenever they get that side of the 16-mile-an-hour side wind there, crosswind, if you will.
Well, I was about to say there, Jeff, too. I mean, the wind will absolutely affect their cars at 16 miles per hour. They're going to feel it, even though they're going 200 plus miles per hour. They're going to feel it. They're going to feel that crosswind hitting them on the side of the car. It's going to, it's going to make them a little bit wobbly. It's going to make the driving a little bit crazier. But I think if they can adjust to it, if they can adjust to being able to drive around that wind, that's going to be one of the keys to success here tonight at Daytona. Less than 20 seconds in qualifying. I think everyone who wants to take a time has taken the time.
They certainly have. And if you're just joining us, my name is Jeff Favignano. I'm joined by Joe Cortez for the OCRP iRacing Cup Series. We now have the Cup Series in the Truck Series, and we are about to kick off Season 10 here at Daytona, and I think it's going to be anything but boring. That's for certain.
These races are always anything but boring. These big plate tracks, these big wide tracks, they are put the throttle down, race as hard as you can, and see what happens. The only thing these guys will really need to go into pit road for is tires, or I'm sorry, fuel. Tires don't mean a whole lot here, so these guys can run as hard as they want, as long as they want, knowing that they've got 2 in the tank if they need them.
Well, they're starting to grid up out there, and we will get your starting grid here shortly. We got plenty of time to get going. We'll wait till we start rolling. Actually, no, we'll start a little earlier before we start rolling here, because we do have quite a few names and a lot of new drivers to get through as well. But we do want to thank our sponsors. We got Thrustmaster, Next Level Racing, and FRN, the Flat Out Racing Network here. And speaking of which, there he is right there. Rodriguez right there on the pole in that 57 Steak and Shake Toyota Camry. Looking really, really nice. All right, you ready to do the starting grid? Because I know I am.
Let's take you down the Thrustmaster starting grid tonight. In position number 1, that driver from Flat Out Racing Network, the 57, the Steak and Shake Toyota Camry of Matthew Rodriguez. On the outside of him, the number 13 Ford Mustang, Sonic Ford Mustang of Jeff Spells.
Row number 2, you got Charles Gray in that Carhartt Chevy Camaro. Outside of him, Ryan Steinhoff in the 74. He used to be the 59. He's in the 74 this season.
Starting in position number 3, Chris Essery in the 51 Ford Mustang will start position number 5. On the outside of him, a familiar face here in the OCRP Racing League, Kyle Carpenter in the 77 Chevy Camaro.
And yeah, Carpenter was a rookie last season. Now he's no longer the rookie but he was dang fast last season, I can tell you. Row number 4, got Wes the Mess Graham in that 88 and Nick Sargent.
Rounding out the top 10, Clint Spells in the number 6 Ford Mustang will start position number 9. On the outside of him, the 25 of Dylan Macedo, the Chevy Camaro, starts position number 10.
And row 6, you got Alex Reno and Leonard Fodorero, your champion from last season. And
the Fodorero bot.
Yeah.
Gage Bookman and Chris Fleissner, both running Chevy tonight, will round out roll number 7.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. No, he was real close. It was Matt Rucci that won the season, I believe. Yes.
Oh, that's right, the Rucci bot.
Yeah.
The Rucci bot, not the Fodorero bot.
Rucci retired from our league, and he's off to greener pastures. We got Christopher Fleissner, and then we've got Gage Bookman in row 7.
Row 8 belongs to 01 of Donald Underwood. On the inside of him will be the 94 of Tyler Schultz.
Row number 9, you got Zachary Guzman and Jason Lance.
Rounding out the top 20 will be Ben Tuttle and James Hilton, 2 veterans of the league.
Row 11, Austin Johnston and Rick Evans.
Row 12 will belong to the Toyota of Clayton Cyrus 05 machine and the 7 of newcomer Mason Pepper.
Row number 13, Joe Ogle and Joel Brown with the flow in the 43.
You got to love that flow. Scott Barkman and Robert Bearder, 2 returning veterans for the league, will start row number 14.
Row number 15, Nick Gould and then Isaiah Stevens in the 44 next quick car. And that's
row
it.
16 will belong to the Stig.
The Stig. Everybody's the Stig.
Owns it. We are all the Stig. 30 drivers out here, all trying to make a name for themselves and win the season opener for the OCRP iRacing League. 100 laps around the big oval here at Daytona International Speedway. And Jeff, although it's a newcomer leading them, it's anybody's race to win.
It is 37 cars in the Cup Series right now, and the green flag is out. We are going racing at Daytona with Rodriguez at the charge.
Rodriguez wastes no time, hits the loud pedal, and he will lead them through the tri-oval into turn number 1. 2 lines forming, and it looks like we had someone trying to break out of the lower line as they go 2 by 2 into turns number 1 and 2.
This is where things are starting to get hairy. You're starting to feel out the car. You're seeing where everybody's moving around. Watching that second line. Jeffrey Spells at the front of that right now, and everybody getting tight off of turn 2, and they're still going to be 2 by 2 on the backstretch.
The wind's starting to affect them. They're starting to get a feel for it in these brand new cars as they come into turns 3 and 4. Still Rodriguez up front. The Carhartt Chevy right behind him. It will be Rodriguez looking to lead lap number 1.
Now watching back here, Joe, there's a break between the groups, and right here you got the 5 of Christopher Fleissner out there leading that particular spot there. And I gotta say, I love Ben Tuttle's 16 Southwest Airlines Chevy Camaro. That's a good-looking car.
He is definitely feeling the love tonight with the Southwest Airlines machine. Fun fact, Jeff, they only fly Boeing 737s. That's the only aircraft in their fleet.
It is indeed, and they have made it a couple laps here. Rodriguez still at the front, and Charles Gray right behind him giving that push, but now we have momentum on that second line, and look at that. You got the 88 of Wes Graham getting up there in the mix.
Graham is always a threat to win a race, no matter what track he's at, no matter where you're at. He can always find his way up front and ultimately start putting together a charge towards a win. Right now, though, he looks like he's very happy to run right where he's at right now. He doesn't want to shake things up too much. He's just very happy to keep everything status quo, feel out all the other drivers around him, and ultimately start making calculations in his head on when he wants to move.
And we were just talking earlier in the broadcast about, it's going to be side-by-side racing pretty much this entire race. Track position's really important, and these cars seem to be doing very similar things from what I'm seeing here we saw in the truck race on Monday. But everybody's tightened up really good, but that backside of this particular group here, there's nobody behind them, and they've lost the draft all the way back to like 22nd.
That's very interesting, watching them kind of break out into that second group. It's unclear if they just got a bad start or they decided to deliberately hold off a little bit to make sure there wasn't going to be an issue on the back on the front group. Remember, we talked about this, Jeff, in the pre-race. Some guys are not going to take time because they don't want to be involved in any of those big incidents up front as we ride along with Christopher Fleischner now currently running 13th where he started. This may be a deliberate move by them to try to avoid any trouble in that front group.
Oh, we got trouble back there. There it is. So many involved there. Isaiah Stevens, Ben Tuttle. Oh, no. That happened in the back there. And it happened really fast. Yep, Austin Johnston involved. And we're going to find out what happened here in just a few. We're going to back that up. He was involved, and it was not good. It was right here in this second group. And it looks like it all stemmed out of the 44 of Isaiah Stevens. And, that was not a good deal there for, looks like that was I can't tell what car that is, the 55 there that was involved, Joe Ogle. He goes straight into the wall, and there's Brandon Buggs on the bottom, and Guzman and everybody trying to get around Scott Barkman there. And there he goes right there, Johnston into the 81. Right there, they made contact, so that is going to be damage to the 81 car. But it looks like he was able to gather it back up, and he was fine. But, man, the 20 went for one heck of a ride. That's Jonathan Orendorff there. Went for a tumble here, and he just, there's nothing he could do there. He was just trying to avoid it. It all happened so fast right in front of him, and then it was all over. There he goes.
Yeah, it looks like that car may have had a little too much Mountain Dew before the race. Good news is they do have those 2 quick repairs. They will be able to get a new car on track here real quick, and they will be able to go back to racing. That's just a broadcaster's curse, Jeff. As soon as we start talking that this may be a smart move on them, bam, they immediately start getting into each other. It looks like a hard racing incident. No malice there. No one trying to hook each other. It looks like just a bad racing incident, all in all. And this will be interesting. This will be interesting now to see if that second group backs off or if that second group decides to stick with the top guys this time around.
And we're seeing right there's the damage on the right side of the 81. You can see his Hot Wheel car there's been damaged a little bit there, so that is definitely going to hurt Arrow. But I've got to say, Joe, I wasn't expecting it out of the second group. I was expecting it more towards the tail of the first group based on how swimmy everything was getting there. But I really don't know what it is other than, it was just kind of one of those things where you have new guys racing new guys, and they're trying to figure it out. And, it's only lap 6. And they kind of just ran out of room there and doored into each other there. So quite a few cars involved there. We'll keep an eye on who's using fast repairs there. And we do have a couple already that have, and that's Isaiah Stevens. Then you had Joe Ogle involved. He used a fast repair. Jonathan Orendorff. You had Ben Tuttle in that 16 Southwest car that we were talking about earlier. And then you had Austin Johnston. And you had Aaron Beaver using their fast repairs as well.
Yeah, as I look back at that incident, Jeff, that incident looked like it was simply a matter of running out of real estate for both guys. They're both racing really hard into the turn. They're both trying to get that same piece of real estate. And at the end of the day, you just can't force two cars into one spot. It just doesn't work no matter how hard you try the physics. And I think they were both so focused on trying to get that, trying to be cognizant of it, that they just were not able to put it together and make it happen. So, you know, tough racing, but there is still plenty of racing to go. We're not even a tenth of the way into this race, so we've got plenty of time for those guys to get repaired, get back up front, and start seeing if they can make some noise in the opening race this season.
The lights are off on the pace car. There'll be 2x2. It'll be green flag racing next time by. And I got to say, Joe, you know, Monday, I know exactly what that felt like. You know, when the car starts getting tight on you in aero like that, when you're getting pushed all around by that air, by all those different cars, it's just one of those things where the car gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and you're so used to the, you know, the, what do you call it? I guess it would just be muscle memory of what you've been doing the last few laps, that when it gets really tight on you, you almost don't want to turn the wheel any more than you have to, and you start pushing up into the track and unfortunately right into the side of that car.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, that's just a product of hard racing. No one to blame. You know, it's just, as they say, it is what it is. So now we go back to green flag racing. We will restart on lap number 8. No changes up front. Rodriguez, Gray, still your front row. Carpenter and Jeff Spells, positions number 3 and 4. And Essery rounding out the top 5. Sargent has worked his way up to 7th. Wes Graham is now in 8th. So it'll be a very interesting restart when we come back to green flag racing.
And it's going to be a perfect time for these guys that, you know, lost the draft, and you saw the difference between the front group and the back group. Now everybody's going to be bunched back together, and now it's anybody's game.
Anybody's game as the first racing Ford Mustang makes the turn off the track down pit road, and this group is in command of Rodriguez, a Steak and Shake Ford Camry, getting ready to shake and bake here at Daytona International Speedway. Green flag is in the air, and we are back to racing, and what a jump by that Carhartt machine.
Man, the 57 spun the tires on the bottom lane. They're wrecking behind all over the place. Joel Brown involved. The 26 of Guzman. Something major just happened right here. The 5 of Fleissner. Somebody spun the tires, and we're about to find out who it was. And it looked like it was just an accordion effect that happened. One of those kind of deals. And this is, you know, we're watching here where Bugs is, but it was anything but. Let's see where that actually was taking place at here. It happened right around here. And we see people already starting to back up right about there. So let's see. We have the 25 of Dylan Macedo. He was involved in that as well. So there it is right there. He's at the bottom, and there it is. It was the 0-1 car that looked like it looks like Gage Bookman got into the back of the 0-1 really hard right there, and then he shot right up the track. That's Donald Underwood. He went up into the track and up into the 89 of James Hilton. That's going to be a lot of damage to him. Look at the 86 of Lance involved, the 43, the 4. What a mess. And they come down the line there, and look at that. Looks like Brandon Buggs is going to be okay. He got in the brakes right behind Bearder, and he was fine, but they're still wrecking back there behind him. So it looks like that will be a little bit of nose damage there, not a lot. And he has not used one of his 2 fast repairs yet. So a big mess. Still early on in this race. We have a lot of racing to go.
Yeah, I think, Jeff, I got to believe that was just inexperience. That was just excitement getting into them. And that was just starting in the wrong gear. These cars have now five gear box in them. So you've got plenty of room. You've got plenty of room to make the car work for you the way you want it. So I don't know why you would start all the way in first if on those restarts. You know, second will do just fine. Third, if you're feeling a little unsure about the car, but I think that was just inexperience at play right there. At the end of the day, you wanted it. You really wanted to get jumped on the track and get ready to go, but hit the gas too hard in the wrong gear, and you're going to end up going the wrong way.
And if you try to, you know, drop a gear, or sorry, go up one more gear, you know, it's going to be easier on you, but you're going to be slower than everybody else. So it's imperative that you all are starting in the same gear so you have the same bite, you know, on that restart. If you don't, you get that accordion effect like we saw there. But somebody spun the tires in the front, and that was the leader. That was Rodriguez that spun his tires. And then we saw somebody in the middle, and man, whenever you have somebody spinning tires in the middle, it is not a good look for anyone. And we are watching right here, Connor Skinner here in the 46. He did not use a fast repair. He still has 2 of them, and he's got damage on his car. He did come down on pit road and try to get work done to that car, but now the leader is Charles Gray in that 87.
On tracks, anything a mile and a half and bigger, damage really is something you need to be cognizant of because it does affect your aero. Now, what do I mean by that? These cars are designed to be sleek. They're designed to cut through the air, and when they're damaged, when they have some broken parts and pieces on them, those broken parts, they will collect the air, they will suck it up, and it just turns into a big, giant, what's the word I'm looking for?
It's
a big giant
mess. Wadded mess. That's what it was.
That too. It's a parachute. That's the word I'm looking for. It is a parachute. All the damage just turns into a parachute and drags your car backwards. You are not as aerodynamic as the rest of them. You are not able to keep up with that first group, and it really can ruin your night if you're not able to figure it out and get that all that damage straightened out before they go back to green flag racing.
I'm watching that 88 car of West the Mess. You know, he really lucked out on that. The leader spun the tires, and he's back quite a few now. He's all the way back, Rodriguez, actually. He's all the way back in 14th after that whole incident. And look at this. You got Wes Graham up there in the 4th position, and it's gonna come down to seeing who is actually, sorry, the 3rd. It's going to be interesting to see who is going to be...
All right, man. Lights are back on the pace car.
They're not going green this time. They're not going to go green. So we will wait for them to do that. Must have had some sort of scoring issues in the back, and even at a 2.5-mile track, it's never enough sometimes. But I'm watching the 88, and man, that's where he wants to be right now. You want to be up there in the top 5, or you want to be all the way in the back?
And he is going to start position number 4, so he will start on the top. And honestly, Jeff, if I'm racing Daytona, if I have the opportunity, I'm going to start top lane every single time. I have more room for error up there. If I need to get out of the line, I can. I'm not stuck down low and could be involved in an incident I don't want to be involved in. So I think Graham is someone you're going to want to watch in that 4th position because he's going to have a lot of room to run, especially if Jeff Spells can get a good run on that outside and really start to make that line work.
Well, we are going to wait one more lap before we get to find out what's going to happen with this, but it is only lap 12, and I'm telling you what, we haven't even seen the calamity that is involved when you have to pass anybody that's lost the draft, and Monday was no exception to that. We had all sorts of confusion, guys yelling at each other, telling them, hey, get on the apron, get out of our way. But, you know, it really comes down to how iRacing works and how the real world works. Say that fast. And the issue is they don't have to move on to the apron. They don't have to do anything. It is the leader's responsibility and the lead pack to decide how they're going to get by the lap traffic. Lap traffic all the way at the top. You're going to go 3 wide on the bottom. It's just going to happen. Vice versa. You know, you got them on the bottom, you can go to the top. It's going to be 3 wide. It has to happen that way. You get down on that apron, and it's going to be like ice down there, and you're going to lose control and go up into the field, and that would be absolutely disastrous.
That is not what you want to do on this track. That's not what you want to do at all, because you will get punted. You'll cause other people to get punted, and that will be not only the end of your night, but it could be the end of several other people's nights as well. I know I did that to Richard Towler over 15 years ago, and I still hear about it to this day.
I'm watching the 67 here. You know, he's had kind of an interesting week himself. He started 12th. Right now he is he's been up to 9th, so he's right there hanging in the top 10. And the reason why we're watching that 67 is he definitely knows how to get it done here at a plate race. But we're about to go green flag racing again, Joe. No, we're not. They're going to wave him off again. Wow.
One more time, just in case.
Yeah,
just in case it didn't sink into the back.
Well, that is unfortunate. Thought we would be racing by now, but we still are going to be waved off. The lights are off on the pace car this time, and maybe it had something to do with the person that is trying to get on the track right now. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but hopefully they'll get on track. They'll get on with the rest of the group, and we'll go back to green flag racing on lap number 14. Charles Gray, Jeff Spells will be your front row. Steinhoff and Graham right behind them. Essery and Carpenter rounding in row number 3. Sergeant Spells, row number 4. Stevens and Bearder rounding, or no, I'm sorry, that's not them. That's not going to be in the top 10. I'm reading the readout wrong. Either way, you've got a lot of talent in that top 10, Jeff, and
Yes.
so there's going to be a lot of chicanery going on, if you will.
Well, we're about to see how that is going to work out here on this restart. And we have been waved off twice. Hopefully they will be set and ready to go racing again this time with Charles Gray as your leader. But let's talk about that 13 car of Jeff Spells. Having a fantastic run, keeping his nose clean, as they say, keeping it up there in the front. And we got the High Noon 51 up in there as well. That is Chris Essery in a new paint scheme, if you were following along these last couple seasons. No jokes this time. They're going to do it?
Survey says...
I think we're going to go green flag racing. Yes,
there
we are.
It is. There it is. The pace car makes a hard left turn down pit road, and now they are in the command of the front row. Let's see what happens when we go back to green flag racing, and it looks like it's going to be Jeff Spells getting the big run on the outside. No, Charles Gray getting the big run on the outside.
I don't know if we're going to get a chance to do this anytime soon, so let's just go ahead and get loud and listen to the sounds of Daytona. And it has been side-by-side action at the front. Man, those next gens sound good when they come roaring by.
They sound beautiful as they continue to go round and round this track. Jeff Spells now in command of the entire field. Carpenter right behind him. Fornerero has moved up quite a bit. He's now in position number 3. 2 by 2, they go through the tri-oval. And at this point, everyone's lined up. Everyone's moving those freight trains. It's now a matter of who's going to be the first one to start pushing their guys forward and trying to get a run on the leaders.
Well, it didn't take very long for that back pack to start falling off again with all the damage they had on their car. So we now have another 2-group race going on here. But look at Alex Reno in that 22 up there in the mix. He's making some moves, and he's pushing on the back of the 88 with help from the 11 of Kyle Carpenter. Don't count out the 57 of Rodriguez. He is going to be running the outside.
He was your pole sitter, and now he's going to run on the outside. Might be trying to think if he can run that third line all the way up against the wall. Maybe too early to try it, but that outside line is holding their own against a freight train of ponies down below. Spells still your leader on scoring lap 17.
Riding on board with Rodriguez here. And now that everybody is all in the line and they are at speed in the draft, you're seeing the difference there off of what we saw in qualifying, 175 to 177 miles per hour. And now 187, you'll see it almost to 190 in the draft. That's the difference when you're by yourself compared to being in a massive line of cars. And now it comes down to patience, Joe. If you're the 57, you just got to let the race come to you and don't get down on yourself.
Absolutely not. That can happen to any driver. Spinning the wheels, especially when they cooled off, when the track started to cool off a little bit, as you run now on the back bumper of Spell's number 13 machine, that can happen to anybody. I love the 77's branding as a Trans Am. You got to give him credit for that historical little piece there. I did not notice that in the pre-race. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's the Smokey and the Bandit car, so he has to throw that Trans Am on there. But look at this. You got the brothers out front. You got Jeff Spells leading everybody on the outside lane. That's Clint Spells in the 6. And we saw in that restart, Clint get down onto the apron. Scared me just for a little bit, but man, he was able to get that thing going. And now they're side by side for the lead.
The Spells and Spells attorneys at law trying to take the control of this race and get a big win for the Spells family. This time around, the outside lane's a place to be as Gray pushes Clint to the lead. And once again, we have a Spells up front.
And look at that move that Charles Gray just made on everybody, schooling them. Use the outside lane to get to the bottom, and now here comes Spells once again.
Spells still on the outside lane, making it work. And for as few cars are up there on that outside lane, they are hot right now. That is the place you want to be as Spells breaks off to the low line. That will open the door for Steinhoff. The 74 Brandt machine will take the lead this time around.
Now, if you're Steinhoff right now, do you want to stick to the outside lane and stay with those guys and know that they're going to have your back at the end of the race? That's something that goes through your mind when you're running with these different guys. And then he can drop down and get in front of Clint Spells if he gets the run, but then, Nick Sargent's going to remember that and go, okay, man, in the last 10 laps, I'm not going to help you. You just abandoned me. So you're going to see a lot of that happening back and forth. But
all right, man, caution.
And the caution flies. We have trouble, and we're trying to find out what's going on with it. Might be the 11. Nope, not the 11. We're looking all over the place where anybody could have been involved. And I don't see any red. Ben Tuttle involved. There he is right there. Sad to see it.
The Southwest Airlines car gets grounded one more time. He may need to burn his second quick repair.
Yeah, let's see what happened right here. It happened right here on the front stretch. A little three wide action happening here. They were kind of bouncing off each other as it was. And then things just kind of took a turn for the worse here. Contact with the 43 Garnier Fructis car. And then of Joel Brown there. And he went for a ride. So a good job by Rick Evans of the 70 to get down, and also Fleissner. But these two are going to have to come down pit road and get a fast repair if that even happens. But I was looking at earlier, the 81 looks like a modified out there. I believe he has not elected to use any of his fast repairs. He hasn't. He knows he has 2 more. It's a lot more racing to go. So looks like he came down on pit road, got a little bit of work done to that car, but they decided to take the front end off.
That's a look right there. That is a look I can respect. I'm very curious what the strategy is. Maybe he's not running terribly with the aero right now. Maybe he's okay pacing the back of the lanes. We're only a fifth of the way through this race. We're only 20 laps down. So this may be a strategy move to see if things get worse before they get better. Considering we've had now 3 cautions in 20 laps, I think, it might actually be a smart move because the worst could be coming.
I can tell you, Monday when we were running the trucks, if someone would have told me, hey, save that last fast repair, I would have taken it. It's no wonder that they're going to do that, because no matter what, Joe, they're going to have to come down a pit road and get fuel. And that's going to happen right around lap 50, 60, right around there, depending on who came down on pit road and who didn't. So I think it's a good idea. Don't use your fast repair. You have to make another stop at least. You probably 2 more actually, and then you're going to be in a good track position compared to where you are now, and you'll have 2 fast repairs to boot. So I think that's a perfectly fine and acceptable idea to stay out.
I think so too. I think it's a very interesting move. I think it's a smart move if he's able to keep up with the rest of the field. If he can stay at pace speed throughout the race, which is only 180, 190 miles per hour at best. It's not the 200 plus we used to see with the older cars. If he can just keep up with the rest of the field, then he may have a chance to really to start making some moves here towards the end, as we now see some guys coming down pit road. They may be trying the early pit strategy instead of running the window all the way to the end.
Everybody's still in a line right now, and we are not going to be going green flag racing this time, but the lights should go off on the pace car here in the next few. But I gotta say, have a look here. Joe Ogle in that 55 car after that earlier incident. He's running in the top 10 right now in the 7th position. And I gotta say, that's in that gray area, man. Right there, 7th, 8th, 9th. That's where you want to be. You're kind of fighting for that 7th position more so than the 10th because you're so worried about who is not, driving in the draft correctly or good enough to be up in the front right now and who's riding. And I think a lot of that's just going to come down to, these guys racing with each other this season. New faces. You don't know how they're driving, their style, etc. And I think we're going to see that come down to the last few laps where people are going to make decisions if they want to go with them or not.
Well, Jeff, as we've seen in time and time again at every Daytona race, once you get to that last 15 laps, that last 10 laps, all the friendships you made on the track are out the window. It's every person for themselves on the field. And when that happens, you cannot. There's literally no one you can trust to have your back. You got to race it like you stole it. You got to race it like you're invincible. It's basically a Mad Max movie with 10 laps to go. And may the best driver win at that juncture. So everyone will get along. We'll all be friends for the next 60-some laps. At that point, watch for all hell to break loose, because it will.
Oh, it definitely will. And I got to say, I think it really comes down to the back straightaway to the start-finish. I think that's when you're going to see guys that are not going to be your friend. But I don't know. What I saw on Monday and how it's been in the past, you got to have somebody that you can trust to even remotely make those moves at the end of the race. And not to mention, we've seen side-by-side racing for these 23 laps so far, and I got to say, that's what you want to see as a spectator. As a driver, sometimes you're like, hey, can we get in a single-file line and kind of figure this out for a little while? Because 2x2 racing for 100 laps is pretty long in iRacing.
Well, not only that, but it's also exhausting for these drivers, too. It's exhausting for them. It's mentally exhausting. It's physically exhausting. So we'll see exactly how they decide to shake it out here as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. The first racing, Ford Mustang down on pit road. And, Jeff, it's time to go back to green flag racing.
Clint Spells on the charge, and you got the 74 there of Steinhoff on the outside lane. It's going to come down to seeing who is going to have the push, and it looks like the 87 of Charles Gray pushing on the 74 physically.
Yes, he is trying to give him that boost, trying to give him ahead of Spells. May or may not happen as they come down the backstretch. It's now about how many cars you got behind you and who's going to be able to get the push going up into turns 3 and 4.
And they've got what looks like tandem drafting happening here. The 87 pushing on the 74. And this is the best time to try those things because you don't know how it's going to play out. So, hey, try it on lap 24. That way, when you get to lap 99, it's going to work for you.
Yeah, no. This juncture, go ahead and experiment. Go ahead and try things. Go ahead and see who you can trust, who's going to help you out now, because you may be asking on them to repay the favor later down the line. Steinhoff credited as your leader that time by, but who's actually leading this race? It's anybody's guess.
Right now on board with Spells, you can just see how crazy it is letting out of the gas, getting back into the gas. There's two ways to get around Daytona. You're either going to feather that throttle, or you're going to be a guy that just rides that brake ever so slightly, keeps that heat in there. And we're seeing the difference here between the way they're getting it done, because it looks to me like Spells isn't jumping out of the gas.
I don't think he's jumping out of the gas at all. I think he is just holding that loud pedal down for dear life and making it work. Charles Gray back in the lead. Hard to miss him in that safety yellow Carhartt car. And I think he's going to start pulling the lower line with him and start giving these guys the run they've been waiting for.
Watching back here by Wes Graham and all the way back to Gage Bookman here. They're towards the end of the bottom line. And you can see we have the 81 of Brandon Buggs. He's in the back there on that line as well, as he did indeed decide to come down and use a fast repair. He's like, hey, I'm done being in the back. I got to move forward.
He is, and he is moving forward. He's latched onto the back of the 84, the Exalta Chevrolet, as they continue trying to make that move, trying to make the low line work for them. And now Spells gets out of line. Nope, he's going to drop right back in, but that might have opened the door for Steinhoff to start picking up position.
That's what we saw earlier, you know, getting really tight off the corner, and you saw Spells dealing with that right there. He jumped way up out of line, but right now they're getting it back under control.
Back under control, Gray Spells, your top two as a low line once again. Now back in line, now starting to pull away from the rest of the field. And here comes Spells. He's going to jump to the outside, and he might challenge Gray for the lead.
It is tandem drafting up front right now. Absolutely incredible. This is things that you'd like to see. But hey, have a look at who's there in the mix. That's Matthew Rodriguez, our pole sitter. He's at the bottom. Right behind, that is Nick Sargent there. And look at the move that Favignano made to the bottom.
That was a dangerous move. That could have ended poorly, but Favignano, he is a very, very skilled driver. He knew what he was doing, and he made the jump as we ride on board with him now. Currently running in position number, what was that, 5, 6? No, I'm sorry, it's going to be position 9 in that 67 machine. The high line now starting to get a run as you see those cars pass him one by one. So it's going to be very, very interesting what happens going into turns 3 and 4.
Man, you could hear he had to jump out of the gas really hard there to avoid from running into the back end of the guy in front of him. There's just nothing you can do there. But the outside lane has the push right now, and it seems like it is favored. But the bottom lane, well, they have the most cars. But here comes Steinhoff to the bottom. A little side draft action from Spells to try to prevent it from happening. And he can't. The 74 now to the front. Now Clint is going to jump up in front of Jeff. And now there's Steinhoff going to be doing a little bit of a junior move on him by trying to control both lanes.
This is where, if you're the spotter, you get on the radio and say, hey, look, it's not, the race doesn't end at lap 29, buddy. The race ends at lap 100. Calm down, let the race happen, and you'll get them later on. You don't want, the last thing you want to do is get involved in one of those blocking matches and ultimately end up wrecking everybody. Wes Graham now drops to the back of the field. Not sure what happened to the 88. We saw him on the apron.
Pretty sure he did that on purpose. He was bailing out of that mess.
He may, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. He may just not want to be part of that right now.
Yeah, I think it's too early in the race to be racing this hard up here for the front. And he saw those moves being made, and he made a decision. Hey, I'm going to bail out. I'm going to go to the back because at least then I can hit the brakes and avoid all these clowns that are going to be wrecking in front of me. So we're seeing really hard racing up here, and it's only lap 30.
It's only lap 30, but you'd think that they are racing for the checkered flag and the first win of the season here at Daytona International Speedway. Spells back up front, back down the low line. Spells and Spells. Actually, the Spells and Spells show once again running this race with Carpenter right on their tail.
And that's Chris Essery there in the 51. He is on the outside lane, kind of stuck, hoping somebody's going to get up there. He's got 3 cars behind him.
He's got more than 3 cars behind him. He's got about a train of 7, and the caboose on that train, I believe, is fan favorite Bay Area Bugs.
Yeah, he's on the outside lane, and that is Alex Reno just underneath him. So a lot of movement happening back there. Leonard Favignano falling back to 12th. I'm wondering if a lot of these guys are starting to drop back because they don't want to be involved with that either. Dylan Macedo on the outside, and he's pushing on the 44 of Isaiah Stevens. I don't think he's happy behind the 44. He's trying to find a slot to get down, and Ben Tuttle really slow on the bottom of the track.
Ben Tuttle, and it looks like another driver slow on the track as well. There may have been an incident we didn't see, Jeff, as these guys now come down pit road. The 5 machine now coming down pit road. He could have been involved in an incident.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that's exactly what happened there, but we have so much action towards the front of the track, it's kind of hard to keep it all together. Look at the difference here between the bottom lane, the 51 pushing on the 74, trying to get a little momentum there, and they start to stall out. They just don't have enough, and that's what I was trying to say earlier was that they just don't have as many cars on the outside lane that are tucked up next to each other as the bottom does right now. And here is a lapped car.
Here's what you were talking about, Jeff. Here's where it gets hairy as both lanes try to navigate around him. Not a ton of real estate in the turn, but so far so good as they navigate as a low line, able to get around that lap vehicle.
That's going to push these guys 3 wide, and they're trying to figure it all out, and it looks like they're going to start to. I'm watching right around Scott Barkman. Could get hairy here, but the 89 is going to jump back into line, and he's got the draft.
He has got the draft, and it's good news for him and everybody else, because now not only can he compete, but he can also start to fight to try to get his lap back as we get a very intimate view of that car.
Yeah, that's the 74 Steinhoff right there, and he's got a car pushing on him physically right now. I just don't agree with this aggressive pushing this early on in the race. 33 laps. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe track position really is that important right now.
I don't know, because again, you see a lot of the drivers just work in the back. Again, Bugs work in the back, Graham work in the back. A lot of these guys are just happy to cruise towards the back of the field, wait for everything to come to them, and wait for one of these guys to make a mistake. Because as aggressive as they are, Jeff, they're going to make a mistake sooner rather than later. And when that mistake happens, it's not going to be pretty.
No, it's not, and they've got another lapped car they have to get around. That's going to be the 5 of Fleischner. He's going to drop to the bottom and not be a factor at all. Really nice to see him work the apron there on the backstretch. That's a perfect spot to do it, and it's out of respect.
Very respectful move. Try to just get out of the leader's way. If you know you're not fast enough and you know you can't catch a draft, just let the leaders run and try to keep it out there for the sponsors. Steinhoff continues to lead Essery on this back bumper, but here comes Spells in the low line, trying to get that low line moving one more time.
And we're watching Jeff Spells working with his brother Clint towards the front. They got another slow one. That's going to be Zachary Guzman. He's deciding to stay on the outside this time. And we'll see if that's going to be a problem for anybody. Doesn't seem like it will be. See the second group, they'll get through it as well.
Everyone's getting through and getting around that lap car. No problems whatsoever, although that second line is starting to drop further and further back. That second group may have gotten hung out by one of those drivers, one of those lap drivers, and unless they can start banding together and hoping for some racing up front, that gap could widen even further.
Well, look at Nick Gould right now. He made a great move there, and that's going to really help him out. He's back to the bottom now, and he has help from Clint Spells. That's where I would want to be. But look at this. You have the 81 up in the mix right now. He's trying to get involved in it as well. It's starting to get really racy this early on.
It is getting really racy, really fast. These guys are having a lot of fun in these next generation cars. And these cars really are produced to act more like your everyday street car. They're produced to look and feel more like a production car and create more parity on the track. And you can see these guys are having a blast as they race them around this field. Bugs all the way back up to 5th.
Whoa!
Leading that low.
Steinhoff sideways.
Gets crazy off the front, Jeff.
Wow, that was a scary moment there. The 74 was able to gather it back up, but I don't know, man. I think a lot of these guys are starting to physically push on each other. It's still early for that.
It is way too early to make those moves. It is way too early to start experimenting like that. Save that for the end of the race, guys. You only have a limited number of quick repairs.
Yeah, and I think that Bugs knew that. He jumped out of the gas really quick there, but he wasted no time. He saw the hole, and he had some help from Charles Gray there, and they were able to try to keep that charge going. And he's figured out, hey, you know what? I got to be in this top 5 or I got to be in the back. And he wants to be in the top 5 right now.
He absolutely wants to be in the top 5 right now. He wants to be able to stay in front of the trouble when it happens. But that being said, the way these guys are shooting gaps and pushing each other, I'm not sure that the big one won't start somewhere around position number 3.
Tuttle really slow there. That was scary out of the corner of my eye. He's not going to be a factor right now. And we saw on Monday, Bugs was a really fast truck, and and Spells is sideways off the corner. That was not Clint. That looked like it was Jeff Spells. And he is dropping back drastically, and man, that was close. That was really close.
The good news is he was able to keep that car clean. He was able to keep it off the wall. He'll have a clean car. He won't need a quick repair, but he has lost the draft. so that's going to make it even more difficult. Imagine climbing Everest in a suit of armor. That's what Jeff Spells has to do now as he tries to get back to the front of the field.
You see Dylan Macedo pushing on the back of Nick Sargent and swimming back and forth, but that's the problem. You can't be swimming back and forth and making contact with the car in front of you. That will turn them. The 55 of Ogle thinking he's going to drop down in front of Steinhoff. The bottom lane starting to really fall apart, but the outside's getting really swimmy.
They are getting really swimming. I think Sargent kind of threw a block on Macedo. Macedo was looking to try to make the pass on that third lane up by the wall. Sargent, I think, just kind of threw him a block and said, don't try it. I will send you in the wall if I need to, which would have been crazy for all the drivers behind him. Let's ride along with the 57 of Rodriguez as he stakes and shakes his way through the field.
Well, he definitely knows his way around a play track, and he started on the pole today, and he's all the way up here in 6th right now, but we can see just how much these cars are moving around in the draft. And the 81 made no... Well, he's not going to jump up. I thought he was going to jump in front of the 25 and try to get back to the front, but I think the bottom lane is starting to form up really good here.
That, and I'm not sure he wants to be in front of the 25 Macedo right now. He was really swimmy, which tells me one of two things. One, he's having a harder time controlling his car with the winds, or two, the tires are starting to show their wear on a cooler track, and as a result, he's having a harder time controlling that vehicle. And if I'm Bugs right now, I don't want that mess behind me. I want someone who's going to stay in line, be consistent, and help me just continue to move towards the front.
I'm watching back here. 13th, 14th. This is where things fell apart for the 13 of Jeff's, the 6 of Clint Spells. He got really loose there, got down, and now he's in a 3-car draft right now with Fodorero trying to get to the front. That's the 14th position, and if we look behind them, it even gets even crazier because you have Isaiah Stevens and then Scott Barkman all the way back here. There's a 3-car group, and then back to Austin Johnston and all those guys. Mason Pepper and them are just coming off the turn 2 now. So there is so much. And Brandon Buggs to the lead.
Brandon Buggs starting to find his wheels underneath him and put that Mountain Dew machine in position number 1. Not yet, as Sargent gets the push from Charles Gray, and we have a battle for position number 1.
What a move by Charles Gray. He definitely is making these moves that you would see towards the end of a race. He's trying to figure out what the car is going to do in the last lap, because we saw him come off turn 4. He made that move, and that put him in the top position right now if he was to take the white flag. And man, I'm telling you what, Charles Gray knows how to get it done here as well.
Is Bugs a Michael Jackson fan?
I don't know,
because he just got hit by a smooth criminal. He got struck by, he got hit by a smooth criminal in Charles Gray as he made that beautiful move to get in front. And now the High Line once again scrambling to organize, not sure who wants to be a part of it, not sure who wants to be where, and everybody now yielding the lead to Charles Gray.
It's getting scary. Nobody wants to run the top line right now. And you see the 48, we see the 74 of Steinhoff thinking about jumping the outside, trying to get something going there. Now guys are going to jump up, but it might turn into a single file show as they're going to try to get around. Looks like it's going to be Carpenter, the slower car there. And it's easier when you're in a smaller group like this, but this is what happens. You start to deal with the lap traffic. It's going to put you in a single file train.
10 cars in this lead group. 35 started this race, Jeff. Now there's only 10 in this lead group. The gap between this one and the next group is about 2 seconds, which here at a track like this is an eternity. These guys have a huge lead on the rest of the field, and so now it comes down to pit strategy. The pit window is going to start opening here in about 15 laps. The question is, who do you go with? When do you go down, and how do you do it in a way that keeps you in front or at least moving some positions forward?
There's some lap traffic going down, and they'll get around no problem, but that usually opens up some good moments for these guys to try to get around each other. But like you were talking about, it comes down to green flag stops. You have to go in a group. You have to maintain the draft. So all these guys that are get together right now racing each other, they're the ones that are all going to be grouped up together, and they will be pitting when that time comes.
And so again, the question is, now you start making bets. Now you start, if you're a spotter right now, you start bartering with the other spotters. You start asking, hey, when's your guy going to go down? My guy will go down with you. Let's keep the momentum going. You start bartering, you start begging, you start making all the deals you can to keep yourself in a position to win this race. With that with that pit window right on top of us, it's now a matter of trying to start thinking, when do I want to come down? Who do I want around me? And how do I want to position myself so that I can get that move when it comes time?
Well, the difference is, you watch a race in real life and it comes down to manufacturers. You'll see the Chevys run with Chevys, Fords run with the Fords, and Toyota, and so on and so forth. That's not the case here in this league. You're going to see everybody, since they're all on a fixed setup, they're all on the same deal. The only difference is that they do have different body styles on those cars, but it really comes down to drivers. Like the 81 and the 87 here, those guys know each other really well. They've raced, season after season with each other. They're going to be hard to break up. And when you see, guys that are grouped up together, they're usually going to be with people that they have raced before.
Oh, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely a way to do it. So as a result of that, there's a little bit of familiarity there. But if you're caught somewhere in the middle, if you're caught in a backpack and you don't have that ability, you don't have that luxury, now you really gotta hope and pray that the guys who are around you are gonna have your back, because if not, everyone's gonna suffer as a result. Top four now have broken away, so now it's a 4-car race as we get ready for pit stops.
Yeah, and these four are going to be definitely pitting together. And, unfortunately, the 86 there, and that was Steinhoff. I think he came down on pit road. Everybody's starting to come down pit road now. Steinhoff decided, maybe it's time to start pitting. He had lost the draft. It's just, you might as well do it. But he does have some people with him. He's got the 77 and some others that are going to be part of that. But, yeah, it's definitely green flag stop time.
It is stop time, as now the 74, the 77, a bunch of cars now come down pit road trying to see if the short pit model can work. These guys might be betting on another yellow flag somewhere in the race, so they're going to try to come in now and try to see if they can at least position themselves for a big win, as we almost saw trouble with 2 more cars going down pit road.
That was Gould and that was Esri that are deciding to come down pit road now. And it's still going to be the same thing out front. You have the 87, the 81, and the 55 together, and the 11 of Kyle Cleveland. So, yeah, now we have hit the green flag pit stop, and we're going to keep an eye on those for you and see how everything cycles out. But, man, yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure with the different, groups, because here is Steinhoff. We saw that group hit first, and right behind them right now, they're a 2-car tandem, but right there is going to be the leaders.
Charles Gray, Brandon Buggs still up front, and now all 4 of those that 4 group is going to come down pit road on lap 48. This could be their only stop. Let's see if they can make it count, Jeff.
It's going to come down to green flag stops. You have to be absolutely perfect. Get in your box, make sure that windshield tear off is unchecked unless you want it gone. It does add it adds like a second to you there. You have to make those decisions early on the backstretch before you get on pit road. And it's really hard sometimes when you get on pit road and then you're scrambling through your menus and screens to try to get it done. Well, you've got to be flawless here.
No room for error as several cars go down. You see, actually, it looks like Wes may have missed his pit box. It looks like he's trying to come in and out. Did I miss that, Jeff?
I'm not sure. I don't think he missed his pit box. He started towards the front there. Everybody else was towards the back.
He might have missed it. I saw him swerve, try to swerve in.
We'll back it up here.
Come out. Back it up here.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Unless he just got a splash of fuel. I don't know. Doesn't look like it. No, he missed it.
He missed it big time. That's going to hurt him. That could be the end of his competition tonight.
So see now everything's going to cycle out here. You've got the 86 of Jason Lance, your leader, and Scott Barkman behind him in the second position. We're going to see how the pit stops cycle out here. And right now, you're hoping for a caution or you're the one that's not hoping for a caution. And right now, these guys don't want a caution to come out because it would absolutely screw up everything.
It would screw up a lot of stuff for a lot of people. Lance, the number 86, that icy machine looking cool up front of Lance as he will lead this race with 4 seconds and some change on Barkman, Reno, and company. But that group, they're going to come for him in a hurry. They're lined up. They've got the draft with him. And so Lance has got basically 2 options. Try to stay with him or get out of the way. And if I'm him, I'm probably going to get out of the way because they are way faster than I am.
They are, and right now he's going to be picking up the 44 of Isaiah Stevens. That's going to help him. That's going to be a 3-car draft. That's going to be better than being by yourself here. But here they are on the backstretch. Here comes the rest of them right there in tow, and Lance has got to make a decision. Am I going to come to pit road now, or am I just going to wait it out? I think he's going to come down pit road now, but man, that's really nice to have, somebody even like, the car behind you that's not for position, that's helping you out.
Oh, yeah. No, you want all the help you can get right now. Even though it's not for position, they're going to try to keep him at least competitive, at least running at a similar speed so that he can jump in with this group when the time comes. I don't know how well that'll work for him, but halfway through the race, Lance is in the lead, and he's going to try to find every advantage he can to keep that.
And Jason Lance started 18th, and he's up here in the lead right now, and he has not come down pit road yet. He's just going to wait and wait and wait. He's got help from the 46.
All right, man.
And the caution's out. Unbelievable.
Uh-oh. This could change the entire complexion of the race as the 4th caution comes out on the field tonight. And it looks like it's going to involve one of the Spells brothers.
Yeah, it was like Jeff Spells got a lot of damage on the right side of that car. We're going to find out what just happened because we're not sure ourselves. Looks like it was a spin by the 13. He might have had some help there from the 21 of Johnston. Coming off of turn number 2 here. Yep. It's like Johnston just comes down and gets right into the 13. Nothing Spells could do here. And there he goes straight into the wall. Look at that. Look at how the car just lifts off the ground a little bit there. Hard lick on the outside.
Oh.
Roof flaps and the hood flaps there doing their job.
Slowing the car down, but that's not a pretty accident to watch, Jeff. That is very eerily similar of the 2001 incident, very dark Sunday that happened here at Daytona International Speedway. Even though it's a virtual game, even though it's just pixels and polygons, and you're grateful for that, you got to be even more grateful for all these safety inventions and upgrades NASCAR has made over the years, from inside the car to the safer barrier on the outside. If that were about 20 years ago, he could have, this were a real car, he could have been seriously injured.
Let's see what happened right here, because here's the blimp look, and you can see it looks like the 21 is running his line, and the 13 is following the draft of the 6, and they get tight. That's just one of those super speedway deals there, man. It looks like the 21 may have came down just a little bit, but the 13 definitely came up a lot more, and then he was on for a wild ride. But the good news for the 13 is he hasn't used any fast repairs yet, so that's gonna work out in his favor. Here's the 86 on pit road. He needed that caution to work things out, and right now, as it seems, everything's gonna cycle out. I believe Brandon Buggs will be your leader on the restart.
He was one of the cars that short pitted too, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens now. He's going to be competing with cars that have more fuel and fresher tires. Again, not that tires make a huge difference here, but they make a big enough difference where if you're gunning through the field and you've got a little bit fresher tires than everyone else around you, you can climb that mountain a little faster than the other drivers who are working with older tires.
And that's the 46 of Connor Skinner in front of him. He will be the wave around car. It looks like he will be the lucky dog here. Waiting for that to happen. He's not the first car a lap down, though. It doesn't feel like. No, the lucky dog will be Clint Spells.
Yeah, he may just be trying to get a wave around on the field.
We'll see how that works out. Since everybody has already hit pit road, I'm not sure how iRacing's going to make that happen, but man, I don't want to be Tony Wilson right now. We're under caution, Joe. Let's take our first break, and pretty much the only break. We're the halfway, and we'll be right back with more action at Daytona. And welcome back to Daytona. We are still under caution right now. The lights will be off of the base car this time. Bye. And Joe, what a race it's been so far. It's been anything but boring. Like I said in the beginning, if we saw what we saw on Monday, it's been just a 2-lane charge, and now the caution has broken everything up.
The caution has broken everything up. The caution has put everything together, and now it's really gonna. Now here's where the racing begins. 40 laps to go, roughly, at this juncture, and you have a lot of names that could take it all right up front in this field. You've got Bugs, you've got Charles Gray, you've got Wes and the Best somewhere in that mix as well. Lots of crazy driving left to go, and the veteran drivers, the cream has risen to the top, Jeff.
It has indeed, and man, I really didn't expect to see what we have already seen so far, but it's been interesting. It's been nonstop action, and I don't know. I'm kind of a loss for words because this is not how I kind of thought the race was going to go. I thought we would have a lot more single file racing than we have seen, but these guys are all about it, man, and they talked about that before. They were like, hey, it's more fun if we just run 2x2 than it is when you're just single file all the time. And I agree with that. I think there's a time and place for each of that style of racing. But it looks like it's been really good. All the cautions that we have seen haven't been from lap cars.
No, they haven't been from lap cars at all. They've just been from hard racing, being able to challenge each other all the way around the track, and ultimately continuing to try to fight for position. And now these guys really get to show it off as the first racing Ford Mustang pace car comes down pit road. And for the first time tonight, Brandon Bugs will lead them to the green flag.
And that was a massive drop by Joe Ogle right there. He had a blink that probably scared the hell out of the 48. And they'll all figure it out and get back in line. Now turn 1 and 2 is under cloud cover. And the outside lane not able to get some momentum there. And Brandon Bugs out front.
Brandon Bugs out front, getting the push from Charles Gray, and now the outside line starting to get the movement up forward. They're starting to get the momentum, and they could start challenging for the lead. It's all about which freight train's faster as they continue through 3 and 4 and into the front stretch.
I was watching back. There's Rick Evans on the outside of the 0-1 and the 13. He's got help with the 67 of Federero. They're doing everything they can to try to maintain that draft, but man, they're going to lose it.
They are going to lose it. They're going to lose it big time, as now you're riding along the back bumper of Brandon Bugs, the 87 of Charles Gray, right up to his back bumper, giving him that push, giving him that shove, and now we're back to racing into turns 1 and 2.
We are on board with Scott Barkman. He's up in the mix right now. He's in the 7th position and climbing after a little bit of a rocky start, but there you go. The 9 car able to get up there. I think he's now done with the, hey, let's wait and see what happens. Let's get up to the front. Let's go.
Yeah, wait and see is done with. That attitude is gone. You no longer have the liberty of sitting around and waiting. It is go time from here on out, and you're going to see 2 lines continue to battle it out side by side. Bugs is about to have a lot of company up front.
Wow, what a move that was. Nick Gould had friends. That was the 86 of Lance and the 9 of Scott Barkman. They push him to the top. He's not going to drop down and leave him out to dry. He's going to stay on the top.
He's going to stay on the top because he knows as soon as he drops down, there's a ton of other cars who want that position, who want to take it away from him. As now the low line, once again, getting a push. It's not going to be good enough into turns 3 and 4. And now Gould will go down low.
And Gould decided to leave the 86 at the top, and maybe that'll work out in his favor. That, or he wants to drop down in front of the 81 and control both lanes. Either way, it's getting a little swimmy back here by Scott Barkman, and also back here by Ryan Steinhoff. Getting a little scary.
Call it swimmy, call it squirrely, call it whatever you want, just don't call it boring, as they continue to kill it into turn number 1. 41 laps left to run here at Daytona International Speedway. Gould, Bugs, Gray, your top 3.
Now watching right around Jason Lance, Jonathan Orendorff up there in the 20 car. He gets bogged down, and the 74 is going to bail on him. They'll go 3 wide.
Three wide as a 20 now continues to run three wide. He has fallen backwards like a stone in a pond, but he doesn't care. I think he wants to get out of trouble before trouble finds him. He will lose at least 6 positions there, but that might be the move that saves his race.
I'm watching right here by Scott Barkman. He's going to drop to the bottom. He knows if he stays on the outside lane, they're going to fall back. So he's going to be the first one to make that decision. Now the 86 might fall in line here. And he has help from the 74 of Steinhoff.
Meanwhile, Gould is taking advantage of the tailwind behind him, and he is leading that front line, leaving everyone behind him. The front line now has about a 7-car advantage on the high line. Gould, Bugs, Gray still in lead.
And that was just such a textbook plate racing maneuver we saw there out of the 14 of Gould. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You use the outside lane where you need to, and then when you get that far out ahead, well, you got to drop down. You got to control both lanes. And he's doing exactly that, but we're seeing that outside lane really starting to fall back here.
That I think you have a lot of drivers abandoning that outside line, going to the inside line because they know it's faster. They know they can get a better run. And now they know that if they need to, they can jump to that outside and start challenging Gould and company for that lead. But right now, nobody wants to make that happen. Nobody wants to be the one to be blamed for causing the big one by jumping out of the line too early.
All right, Joe, let's get loud one more time now that they've got the cars all cranked up. Let's listen to them. And just as we say that, we have a crash, and the caution is out.
Right? I always wondered what a crash sounded like at loud volumes, Jeff, so thank you.
Oh, man.
Thank you for that treat.
Unfortunately, the 22 there involved. A lot of guys involved here. We're going to find out what happened here in just a few moments. But, man, yeah, I wanted to hear the cars while they're all wound up and going crazy here, and the caution flies right when that happened. It's right in front of them, actually. Looks like it might right around Jason Lance. He went for a really big spill there. We'll back it up and see what happened here. Looks like they're coming off of the turn, and it just kind of broke. All hell broke loose right around Gage Bookman. Gets sideways into the wall. Wes Graham involved. The 86 involved. Everybody in the back. Rodriguez involved. The 74 of Steinhoff involved. I mean, man, worst timing ever. And it all broke right here out of turn number 2. We can see it looks like Jason Lance comes down and he gets into the 48. That looks like it might have been a little bit of net code there, Joe. I'm not sure. We're going to try to figure it out.
I think once again, it was just a hard racing deal. It was just two guys fighting for the same piece of real estate.
No, look at that right there. That's straight up net code.
Oh, no, you're right.
By like 2 feet.
That, yeah, that is correct. That is the predictive collision system in iRacing. So for those of you who don't know, iRacing has a predictive collision system because everybody is racing from the comfort of their own homes in this in the sim. So what's happening is the computer, the main server, is predicting how close those two cars are from what their computers are saying to the server. And in that situation, in that split-second situation, the computer decided, hey, those two cars are going to be too close. We're going to wreck them. And it's nobody's fault. Nobody actually made contact. It was the predictive system predicting that those cars would make contact, and they just got net coded. That
man, talk about code. Look back here. You got Gage Bookman, you know, in the code Red Mountain Dew car. He was all sorts of out of shape, and he gets into the 88 with the back end of his car. And so it looks like him, Sargent, Lance, they all look like they're coming in to park their cars at a fast food restaurant or something, but instead it's like into the wall at 200 miles an hour. Man, lots of damage. So many cars involved.
That's a lot of carnage. Guys going for a ride, going for flips. We even see, there it is, Lance going for a casual barrel roll down the back stretch. Now, I don't believe he's burned any quick repairs, so we'll have that quick repair under his belt and be able to make it happen. But that is not a position you want to be in.
Let's see what Wes Graham saw here.
Ooh,
not a lot to see.
Not a lot to see there. Just goes straight. I'm getting a word from Orndorff's crew. We should take a look from what he had to say.
All right, so Orndorff was the one that saw a lot, so we will definitely go back and see what he saw there. Let's back it up. That was
in
a
that
crazy
classic
ride.
Mountain Dew car.
So right here, you can see him come down. There is the 86 of Lance getting into Nick Sargent. And the 20 just hanging in there. He goes to the bottom to try to get around it. Happens right in front of him. There goes the 74 sideways in front of him. He's in the brakes. And look at that. Splits the difference.
Wow.
22 gets hit. Look at behind him. You got the 86 rolling back there behind him. Man, oh man. I mean, talk about luck of the draw when it comes to plate racing, and that worked out in his favor 100%.
Good luck. Call it whatever you want. Good luck, good timing, right place, right time. No matter how you split that up, that was an incredible save. And what a perspective through Orndorff's windshield there. Incredible, incredible run. And now we're going to try it one more time. We're going to get him filed up 2x2 and get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, scoring lap 66.
And we got to take this time to thank everybody that's watching on twitch.tv/jfavignano right now. Thank you guys so much. You all are gifting out subscriptions. You are subscribing yourselves. You're gifting out some bits. All sorts of fun stuff happening on Twitch. We appreciate you so much. Thank you very much. I have like a bajillion things on my screens in front of me, and the chat is just a tiny one in the corner on these deals. But we really do appreciate everything you guys do, and thank you for tuning in here tonight. It's been one hell of a show for almost 500 of you, and wow, it's just getting started. I can tell you that.
I was about to say, you 500 are in for a wild ride as we will be at 35 laps to go when we're back to Green Flag Racing. The first racing Ford Mustang gonna come down pit road this time by make the hard left turn, and up front, two veteran drivers of this league about to turn it up. Hit the loud pedal, and let's go flat out racing one more time at Daytona International Speedway.
And we're going to try to get you a Let's Get Loud here on this one. Watching the start here. There goes the 81 out to the front. They're side by side. Let's hear it. Side-by-side action out front still, and man, we saw some side drafting off the and they're crashing behind them.
Caution is out. Caution
Big
is out.
crash.
Carnage, the humanity behind them, the big one we have been waiting for is there, and a lot of names involved in that one. Rodriguez is involved, Spell's involved, so many names back there, Jeff.
Wow, we're gonna back it up here and see what exactly happened here. We were all enjoying the sound. It happened right around the 86 of Jason Lance. Looks like it might have been a little pushing. It looks like the 48 gets into the back of the 86, and that really was the shot that it took right there to get into 74 and get him all out of shape here. And then that was when it all broke loose. And Steinhoff, not really much you can do there. Just got into the 57. 57 goes up into traffic, and bam, straight into the wall there. Everybody piling in. You got Alex Reno involved. You got the 05 involved. You got the 25 of Dylan Macedo involved. It's just an absolute mess. Look at James Hilton hitting the brakes saying, I don't want any part of this. And look who tries to get through it there. That is the Sonic Ford Mustang of spells, and I don't think he was able to get through there. It looked like it might have been netcode because it put the car back to normal there. And we'll find out what happened from multiple angles here, but man, the big one strikes a little later than we thought.
He might have actually got out of that clean, Jeff. Let's take a look at that from the perspective of one of these cars. We are on board with who is this we're on board with?
This is Cyrus here in the Ski Toyota.
And you can just see the carnage just to play out in front of him. Nowhere to go for Cyrus as he takes the 25 Macedo on a ride, gets him airborne. And it looks like he's the one that connects with the 21 machine, the Lone Star Beer Ford Mustang. Check that. And he just, nowhere to go for those cars. They just get scattered, splattered, smothered, and chunked all the way down the back stretch.
Right on board with Wes Graham. He saw it all happen in real time right here.
And he sees everything.
Look how smart he is. He knows it's going to happen before it happens. He sees how squirrely they're getting right there. He saw the shot happen. You hear him jump out of the throttle completely and starts getting the brakes.
Yeah, he knows. He can predict it. He can see all kinds of crazy happening in front of him, and he knows something bad's about to happen. Great predictive maneuvering. You can't teach that in school. That is just flat out instinct. And that is why Wes Mess is one of the premier drivers in this league.
100%. And we're trying to figure out what happened to the 81 in all of that. He just dropped back to 15th. I'm not sure why. Maybe he came down pit road. I think he might have come down pit road. He's got one fast repair he's used. He does have one left. But he came down. I'm pretty sure he came down pit road for fuel. I think he wants to just have one more stop and that's it. He can make it to the end.
Well, it also might have been a strategy play in tires too, because in the same amount of time it takes to fill up one of these cars, you can change four tires with one can. You can change 2 tires. So he might have gotten right side tires just to give him a little extra insurance and a little extra grip going through these turns. So that's not a bad play. That's actually really smart if he decided to make that move, and it could be the advantage he needs to start tearing through this field with 30 laps left to go.
Well, if I think I know the 81 as well as I do, and I think I do know him pretty well.
You know him very well.
He does not care about tires. He said he will stay on the same set of tires to the end of the race if it takes him.
I don't know, man. I mean, you and I have done this before. We've seen a lot of racing. I would take the tires. That's just my opinion, though.
It just gets the car just gets really tight on you. If you don't do it, it gets really tight on you, and you know that. But, it all comes down to what you're running steering ratio-wise. On Monday, we were running the 16-to-1 ratio. By default, you're right there in this dead kind of the center, not 10, but you're 12-to-1 on the steering ratio. And a lot of these guys are running 16-to-1 on a big track like this. And a lot of cars have been having an issue with the force feedback in the middle. It's just kind of how the suspension is on the car. And it's starting to be really light in the middle. So you have to really kind of dial your force feedback up. And I can tell you something that's different from the 81 that we saw last season. That's equipment. He is now driving a Fanatec setup. He's got the direct drive wheel there that he's using with the NASCAR wheel. So he's changed that up, and he said it's absolutely amazing to have direct drive. It's changed the way that he drives, and he really loves it. So that's the difference we've seen out of them.
So one more time, for the 6th time tonight, the pace car makes its way down pit road, and once again, we'll be restarting 30 laps to go, this time by at Daytona International Speedway. Back to green, Jeff Favignano.
Look at that. Charles Gray dropping to the bottom of the 14 to Gould to try to get that side draft. It works out for him. The 55 is going to push him all the way out front, and it looks like he's going to stay to the outside.
Just sucked the air right off of Gould, but Gould fighting back in the Summit of the Chevrolet. Back and forth they go side by side, but Gray still has the advantage with that safety yellow Carhartt machine. He will lead them back through the back stretch.
And here comes Scott Barkman to try to give the shot to the back of Gould to get him moving. That bottom lane not moving how they wanted to. Look who's up in the mix. Robert Bearder in 3rd.
Bearder now starting to make a move. He wants to lead some laps before this race is over. Charles Gray continues to lead. Ogle behind him. Bearder on the outside, leading that outside lane, somewhere between third and fourth.
And right now, if you're back there in 11th, 12th right now, you've got to be making decisions. Hey, we've got to move to the front. I do not want to be right here in the 10th to back position, because you are more than likely going to end up in the big one if it happens in the middle. But we've seen things happen in the front, and the outside lane just can't get it together right now.
They can't get it together as you see guys moving back and forth from lane to lane, trying to figure out how fast, which one's a faster one, and how fast they can start moving up front. Speaking of being in the middle of that pack, that's where Brandon Buggs is right now with the 81 machine. You know, for a fact, he's trying to figure out how to get out of this mess. Doesn't want to go outside yet, but he's trying to figure out, how do I get away from this, because I don't want to have to burn my second quick repair this fast.
Well, the front has gotten to a single file lane, and right now, if that's the case, then if you're in his position, you're going to stay on the bottom lane and just hope for the best. The only way you can move forward is by jumping to the top, but you need a lot of cars to do it, and I think he knows that everybody's going to wait till the end of the race.
Everyone's going to wait till the end of the race before they make that move, before they try to figure out how to get dangerous, if you will, and get around. Gray continues to lead. Gray still plays here on the backstretch, but now the outside lane starting to organize.
They are starting to organize, and they got quite a few cars that jumped up there, including the four-head Bearder. He decided, I'm going to jump up there too. He knows that they got to move to the front. This is the way to do it.
They get organized, and through the turn, they get all of them lose that draft, lose that grip, opens the door from the low line, and now they've got a 4-car advantage. Gray's got plenty of room on that on the high side. He can move either way, but he's happy to lead the freight train down low.
And he almost got a little too low there. Almost collected the apron there, and that would not have been a good situation there. Look how tight all these cars are getting off a turn, too.
Oh, that could have been dangerous as you see 2 cars now get on the apron, go low. They have to give up position. You cannot pass under that double yellow line, and that opens the door for a new leader. Gould up front, Cleveland in second, Gray back to third.
That bottom lane is the strongest lane right now, and we're trying to find out what's going to work for the outside. It doesn't look like it's going to be a car that has damage on it, and that is the 4 of Robert Bearder. He has damage on his car, and here's Kyle Cleveland jumping to the outside lane.
Kyle Cleveland getting a push from the 55 of Joe Ogle. Side by side, they're going to challenge for the lead. Cleveland or Gould not really interested in giving up that position, though. Side by side into the backstretch.
Look at a little side draft action happening there towards the front to try to move those lines, and the outside lane seems to be the preferred one right now. The 14 and the 87 doing everything they can to try to keep it moving forward, but it's tough.
It is incredibly tough. You have to have the right amount of draft. You have to have the right amount of push and the right amount of people around you in order to make that move and get ahead. Cleveland maybe get able to get credit for leading this lap. No, it's going to be Ogle. Essery also getting a big move up front, as we see now towards the back of the field. A lot of drivers trying to make their move.
And it's go time, man. It's 76, and you have 100 laps. You still have a lot of racing to go, but it is almost go time. I really think that it's going to matter, in the last probably 10 laps, who's going to win the race, but it doesn't help to try to change the track position up and get to the front. And we can see the difference here between this front group and the back. Oh, then they're wrecking. The 88 involved.
Caution is out.
Rebel back in the towards the back of the field. 3 cars at least involved, and we go under caution one more time. Looks like it only might have been those 3 involved as we follow along with Wes Graham. Did he get is there some damage on the back bumper?
Oh, there's damage on that car, period. He's the one that was sideways. He just pancaked the outside wall with the nose there, and we'll find out what happened here. But that was scary for a lot of those guys right back there. We'll see what happened here as the 88 is going to try to make his way to pit road. It looks like it happened right here in the middle, and it might have been Buggs that came down and gave him a little bit of help there with the side draft. We'll see right here. 81 coming down. I think the 81 thought he was clear.
Yep, that's
he just
exactly
got too aggressive. Yep, got too aggressive, got in the back end of the 88, and that's just all she wrote. The 88 goes right into the wall. That's a lot of damage to him. He does have one more fast repair remaining, so that kind of will work out Let's ride on board with the 81 and see what he saw. But yeah, I think that's just one of those things where you think, you know, hey, I'm clear. I'm coming down. He wants to push and help out. I'm really trying to find the 81. There he is right there. I'm trying to help out, you know, and because they're friends. And here he comes down. It's just not clear. Here's the contact.
Yeah, he just mistimed that move altogether. You know, he thought he was going to barely escape from behind Wes and start pushing him, but he just mistimed it the entire way, and that caused a lot of trouble for him. So nothing malicious there, no drama to write about, no beef for you Civ Ryan fans out there. No one's got beef out there. That's the good news. You would think that, but no one's got beef, you know. So that's the good news. The bad news is that is one less quick repair for Wes. So if he gets into another incident, his day may be over.
Well, you know what? Through that calamity came something different. Chris Essery is now our leader in the 51 High Noon car, and things might change here. Looks like Jeff Spell's going to get his lap back. He'll be the lucky dog this time by.
Lots of new names up front as we close in on the final 20 laps of this race, Jeff. Essery, Cleveland, Gould, Schultz. Guys we have not talked about all night are now in the top, now in the top 5. And Rodriguez, the Steak and Shake driver, he's getting ready to shake and bake in position number 8, I believe.
Well, let's go through the field a little bit. We'll start at the front here, and we'll see where everybody is running currently. In the top 10, you have Chris Essery, started 6th. And his highest second, but right now he's leading the race. Behind him, Kyle Cleveland having a great run tonight. 37th, started in the back, worked his way to the front. He's got a little bit of, looks like damage on the left rear there, but he's in the 2nd position. Nick Gould in that 14 car. No information on him. I don't know why. He's just absolutely off the record as far as iRacing is concerned. Tyler Schultz started 15th. He's up here in 4th right now, having a great run in that Exalted 24. Sorry, the Exalted 94. It looks like the 24 from here. And Rick Evans in the top 5.
So behind him will be 77 of Kyle Carpenter. He was up to all the way to position number 2. He will restart position number 6. Behind him, the fan favorite Brandon Buggs, leading the race at one point, brought out this caution with that ill-timed pass, and he will restart position number 7. On the outside of him will be Matthew Rodriguez. He started in the pole. He led some laps, spun his tires earlier, and was forced to go backwards in the field. Now has worked his way back up, and he will restart position number 8.
Scott Barkman there in 9th, starting 27th. And he's been up to 2nd here, and they're trying to figure out where everybody goes here before the green flag. And then back here, Scott Barkman rounds out the top 10 currently. But, oh my God, we have a wreck. Under caution.
That happened.
What happened there? The 86? I mean, the 9 just came down right on the 86 there. They're trying to figure out where they're supposed to go. Wow. That's unnecessary damage. Under caution for those drivers.
You don't see that every day, Jeff.
No, you don't. They're not going to be very happy about that, but the lights are back on the pace car. So we will not be going this time by. I think there's a massive confusion on where everybody needed to be.
I think so too. I think there was a miscommunication somewhere between those two drivers. The 9 wasn't sure where to be. The that icy car knew we would need to get ahead, and the 9 just didn't get the memo. And the hitman ends up putting a hit out on him by accident.
And he definitely didn't mean to do it, but that was damage. Sorry there. That camera view. And we're watching a lot of cars that have damage in the field right now. Robert Bearder, one of those. And the 81 of Brandon Buggs did have damage on that car. It looks like it's on the left front. And he's got a little bit of damage on the back too, but I think that's just from everybody bumping each other. But yeah, the left front looks like it's crinkled up a little bit.
Yeah, there's a little bit of damage there. He may have one quick repair left. I don't know, to be honest. And if he does, now might be the time to go down and take it before things really get really pear-shaped.
Yeah, the 81 has a fast repair still left in his stable, and he's going to wait for a green-white checker or something to happen a little later on to use that. And I think that that's smart because we've seen he's been strong. It's making decisions basically under the draft, and you know, you got to save that fast repair for the end in case things get into a green, white, checkered finish, which they just might. But we see Matthew Rodriguez. He has used both of his fast repairs. He's got a fresh Toyota Camry ready to go, and he's going to see if he can get it done.
If now is the time to make it happen. They're going to go back to green flag racing with 20 laps left to go. And as we saw, you know, the top 10 that we saw earlier, the starting grid looks nothing like what it looks like right now. This group is all kinds of crazy, but this is why we love Daytona. This is why we love racing like this. So, you know, Jeff, this is going to be a very entertaining 20 laps from where we started. Lots and lots of fun.
And I'm watching the 94 of Schultz getting up there in the mix. We haven't seen much of him here recently, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to push on the back of that 11 of Kyle Cleveland, waiting for that pace car to make its left-hand turn and get this thing underway with 20 laps to go, Joe.
Back into racing, 20 laps to go, and it's all in control of that blue and yellow high noon car. Green flag flies here at Daytona, and the low line once again gets the great jump, and they go scattered. Looks like someone might have spun the tires. Looks like Bugs might have spun the tires. Now your top 8 cars all getting a breakaway from that second group.
Yeah, that was the 81 that spun the tires there, and they all figured it out. They were 3 wide fanned out there for a little bit, but they figured it out. So no harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul for the top 8, but everyone else now has to figure out where they want to go, how to file in line in order to make the next 20 laps count. They've got to get reorganized and start moving forward if they want to have a shot at winning this race.
2 lines making it happen right now, and the 94 does not have a lot of help from Rodriguez, but now Bugs is going to jump to the outside of Rick Evans, and look at Rick Evans up in 7th.
Rick Evans and Charles Gray passing them like they are standing still. 3 cars does not a train make, and they are starting to feel the effects. They need some help on that high line, and they need it in a hurry.
Yeah, and I think the 81's figuring out if he wants to bail, he's going to drop down with Charles Gray and run the bottom, and I think that's what you got to do at this point. So a good move there for sure. And we can just see how much the outside is starting to fall back right here. The 51 pushing on Kyle Cleveland, your new leader.
Kyle Cleveland continuing to lead over the field. Nobody, however, running that high line. Everyone's saving it for the very end of this race. So no drama just yet. The high line still needing some help. 3 cars on top and a whole train down low. Is the 77 debates going outside. He will, yes, commit to it alongside another car.
Oh, and look at that. The 51's going to jump out. They're going to try to shuffle back the 11 back to Rick Evans.
Now we have a 2-line race officially on the field. 2 trains around this track. Top one led by Essery, the bottom one led by Cleveland. It looks like the top line has a hot run right now. They are getting the moves. Now who's going to jump down low? The 77 and 94, they're going to go low. Essery will join them there.
And the 14 got the worst end of it. He's going to try to do a side draft on the 77. Maybe not going to get it done, and it doesn't look like he will. But, man, that was really, really close.
Essery trying to play both lines, trying to force the 77 up the track, trying to either take the air off him or force him to go somewhere he doesn't want to go. Carpenter, though, will have none of it, and Carpenter now has the run going into 1 and 2.
Carpenter trying to figure out which way he wants to go. I think the outside's going to work for him right now. That's where Brandon Bugs, that's where Dylan Macedo think it's going to move. And you can see right now everybody trying to figure it out.
Everybody trying to figure it out. Everybody trying to make a friend and try to move up front. Essery once again side by side with Kyle Carpenter. Smokey and the Bandit trying to get that run eastbound and down. Can he, though? Essery now credited as your leader, but not by much.
They are side by side for the lead right now. We'll see how they end up at the stripe. And it's going to be really close.
I think Carpenter got the credit for leading that lap, but 16 to go at this juncture, and it's still anybody's race. Carpenter, Essery, back and forth as both lines now competitive as can be. It's anybody's race at this juncture.
Right on board with Alex Reno. He's right here in the mix. in 13th. And that outside lane is working because look at the difference here. They're really starting to move to the front here.
Oh, yeah. They are moving hot. They are moving heavy. And you know the 22 of Aviator Alex. He wants to be the conductor in that Kansas Southern Lines Ford Mustang. He wants to lead this pack if he can, but he's going to need some help. He's going to need that outside line to run a little hotter, maybe get a couple more cabooses behind him.
Side by side with Nick Sargent, the 48, trying to make the bottom lane work, but it comes down to the 77, and here is somehow, it's going to be close as that flow of Joel Brown gets to the outside, and they have no issues there. They will lap that 43.
That 43 was hugging the wall and bad. He did not want to be the one to bring out another caution flag with 15 to go. Essery still in the lead. Carpenter right beside him as now the 75 forces his way in front of Charles Gray. Check that, the 70 of Evans forces his way in front of Charles Gray. Bugs on the outside of him. Still competitive racing.
It got really scary there. The 70 of Rick Evans got to the back bumper of the 11 of Cleveland, and I thought he was going to shoot Cleveland sideways as he gave him a shot there, but they're able to maintain it. And look at the 77 of Kyle Carpenter out front right now at Daytona.
Kyle Carpenter, then the Smoking the Bandit, Chevy Trans Am, if you will. He is now going to the bottom lane. He will cut in front of Essery, and he will continue to lead. Looks like he's trying to play both lanes. That could be a very, very dangerous strategy, especially if he gets caught right in the middle.
And that was Charles Gray gets moved to the bottom. He's going to lose a bunch of spots. Maybe he wanted to bail, maybe he didn't, but he got shoved out of line. Everybody's swimming all over the place, trying to hang on right now, and it is getting aggressive. A lot of side drafting happening up here in the top 10.
Carpenter tried to play both lines, tried to play it a little too early, as now Essery is once again right beside him. Carpenter will get credit for leading that lap, but Essery is fast, and he knows he cannot give up an inch of ground to Carpenter lest he ends up second.
If you're going to see a crash, Joe, it's going to come out of 4th or 5th right here. I'm watching these guys racing so hard, and they're coming down, and they are doing side drafts repeatedly. Look at the 81 getting to the back of the 25, being smart, not mashing in the back of the bumper. He's just using the air.
Well, now you see the bottom three as Essery and Carpenter and Gould cut in front of Essery. I was about to say the 94, the 57, and the 70 all giving each other gentle pushes to keep moving that bottom line down or forward. It doesn't matter though, as Carpenter and Gould now have a lock on the lead.
Now, this is where, if you're back here in 6th, you're in 5th, this is where you're making those decisions. We're going to ride on board here with Rodriguez and see what he sees. But, man, you got to make a decision. Hey, I want to move forward or I'm going to bail out of this, and I don't want to be part of this crash that's about to happen in the next 5 laps.
A crash is brewing. 12 laps to go, and we know a crash is brewing. Something crazy is about to happen. Don't leave your computers just yet, folks. It's going to get wild as now the High Line trying to make another move, led by Macedo and Bugs.
And Macedo really is relying on the 81, but look at the difference. They're coming down to try to side draft, to try to keep that momentum moving, and then 94 is going to jump to the outside lane.
So Carpenter and Gould still in the lead, but now the 94 of Schultz trying to get a lead, trying to get them moving forward, and with a push from Macedo, he will get in front, and they will come down in front. So now the front three have changed again. Schultz, Macedo, Bugs, your top three.
Wow, what a move that was, and the 81 of Brandon Bugs knew that was coming. He made the right decision there to drop down, and now the three are out front.
These three are out front, and they've got quite a run between them. Schultz in the Exalta Chevrolet leading the Mahindra Chevrolet behind him, and now Bugs in the Mountain Dew Toyota Camry. Those three are making some heavy moves. They're holding off the rest of the field, but the outside lane led by Carpenter, Kyle Carpenter, they're trying to get a run as well.
Oh, Bugs is in the Mustang. You better believe it. He's a Mustang
Bugs
boy.
in the Mustang. My check that. Check that, my bad.
Oh, man, look at Gould. He's in the middle trying to make some moves to try to prevent anybody from getting in front of him. That's the blocking that we were expecting. 91, 9 laps to go.
9 laps to go at this juncture. Will be almost 8 laps to go, and still anybody's race. Schultz now in the lead, taking over from Macedo. Carpenter is being scored position number 3, and they've got a good run. The outside lane starting to form. They want to try to challenge Schultz with less than 10 laps to go.
And this is going to work because the 77 of Carpenter is using both lanes to his advantage. The outside does not have as many cars. Here comes the bottom.
The bottom line is continuing to, now it's the 77, almost gets stuck in the middle. He will save it. He will get back on the outside line, but now the bottom line's starting to get a little swimmy, knowing that the outside line is coming. Schultz Macedo still up front. Bugs debating which line he wants to go in.
Still side-by-side action from the 6th position on back, and out front they do have a lap car they're going to have to get by. Will be a factor. Look at, there's the difference between the front group and the rear group. In the rear group, the leader there is going to be Charles Gray. Somebody in the grass.
Somebody in the grass, as long as they're green, will still follow with the lead group as Schultz, Macedo, Bugs continue to lead on the bottom. Top line losing momentum, as now looks like that's going to be Essery will jump to the high line. Check that. That's going to be, I believe, Gould running in the high line as we ride along with Brandon Bugs right now. You see just how hard they're running down there, just how quickly they're turning these laps side by side. Who's going to be the first one to flinch? Who's going to be the first one to jump and try to take the lead?
I can tell you right now, if I know Bugs, he really does not like to be in a single file lane. He's dropping out to the outside, saying, hey, who's going to come with me? Anybody going to jump to the outside? We got to get around these guys. It's getting to be too late. And the caution comes out. I got too excited.
Caution number 8 on the field, and that will lock them where they are. Schultz, Macedo, Bugs, your top 3, as it looks like several cars involved in an incident. A 15 involved, might be Charles Gray involved as well. Several drivers involved in looks like a incident among the back group.
Joe, I got so excited off of that happening that I clicked the top ticker instead of the other button. It looks like he had some help there, though. Man, hard lick for the 87. That's going to destroy his car. Let's see what happened here. We'll have a look at the blimp and get it going here. Looks like it might have been the 55. He had help for sure.
Yeah, watch that 55, and this could either be a netcode thing or it could be just not enough clearance once again. In any event, there was 2 guys, not enough real estate, and unfortunately Charles Gray just got pitted into the wall, and he took a wild spin. Again, an eerie crash, very eerie sight. It makes you glad that these are all pixels and polygons out there, because that would have been a hard lick to take into that outside wall. So Gray and the G Fuel machine also going to be involved. 2 cars will bring out caution flag number 8.
Yeah, so I'm going to back that up. We'll find out what happened to the 26. He wasn't related to that, but they looked like they might have gotten hit by somebody else.
No, he just got collected.
Yeah, he got collected by the 87.
He got collected by a Charles Gray spin cycle there, and that will damage his car. I don't know how many quick repairs those 2 have, but if they have it, you smoke them if you got them.
Yeah, smoke them if you got them. And the 87 Charles Gray does have 2 fast repairs. He has not used it yet, so I'm sure he's going to come down pit road and get that fixed. And the 26 of Guzman, he has used both of his, so he's got what he's got.
And at this point, I think everybody right now has just kind of got what they got and are hoping to make the best of it. Wes Graham will be your lucky dog this time by. He will make the pass. And we should go back to Green Flag Racing with about, 4 laps to go. So it won't quite entirely be a
green white checker?
Green white checker finish. Yeah. Thank you. God, what is wrong with my brain?
Well, it's coming. Don't worry. The green and white check. What we've seen so far, are you kidding me? Yeah. It's going to be an interesting end to this race. This is not over. We saw the amount of aggressive side drafting that seems to be working really well for that outside lane when they do it. So I think they're going to use that to their advantage. By the way, I saw somebody that was asking, hey, who's the other commentator? It's Joe Cortez, the Joe Cortez Show.
Hello.
Man, what an incredible... My heart was like racing like crazy on those last 10 laps.
Oh, they were racing hard, Jeff. They were racing really clean. This is why you watch OCRP on Thursday nights. This is why you come to twitch.tv/jfavignano, because you know you're going to get some of the best virtual racing out there on the field. And when we go back to green flag racing with 3 to go, these guys are not going to leave anything on the track. They are going to burn them down as hard as they can. All these guys want to win the season opener tonight because, you know, if you win the season opener, it gives you a lot of momentum going into the rest of the season.
And I got to say, it's at the end of the week for me. So tomorrow will be Friday, and then I get to the weekend and Monday. I'll be racing with the Truck Series, and we will be at Martinsville, my favorite track on the series. So I'm really excited for that. And then these guys will be there as well. So we go from super speedway to straight short track race. It's going to be a real stark contrast there between what it takes to get it done. But I got to say, you know, the biggest heartbreaking moment was on Monday when Brandon Buggs got involved in that late race crash. He had the truck to beat. He had the skill as a plate driver, and he's definitely one to watch here towards the end. I think that it's going to come down to, hey, you know what? I'm tired of getting beaten around by giving up too much, because plate racing is give and take. But these last few laps here is going to be all take, and that's going to be the top 15 is going to be all take.
If you're the top 15 right now, with both these lines forming up to get ready to go back to green flag racing in 2 more turns, you have just as much opportunity as anyone else to win this race. Now you're playing chess at 200 miles per hour. The moves you make will not only affect you, but everyone else around you, and could ultimately make or break your chances of winning at Daytona.
Well, I can tell you, I saw a question about what's plate racing. Well, it's a tapered spacer that goes on these cars, and they can only produce the amount of horsepower in the same exact one, and they can't go any faster than each other, and it comes down to the draft. So that's the reason I always say plate racing when it comes to those drivers. Joe, let's go green flag racing.
One more time, Macedo will lead this field. Well, now check that. It'll be the 94 leading this field with a 25 and Macedo on the outside. Side by side they go, and we're back to green flag racing. 3 laps to go here at Daytona International Speedway.
Only 3 laps to go. The outside got squirrely. That was the 25 Macedo. He's going to blink a little bit there, trying to maintain the outside. He's got the help from the 51 of Chris Essery. Now they're side by side on the backstretch.
Side by side, neither lane wanting to budge, not want to give an inch out there as they continue to run. Highline has the advantage. Dylan Macedo continuing to run high. He will come down low, and now he's going to try to play both lanes. 4 to go, and they hit the line.
Brandon Buggs gave a shot to the back end of the 94, and he does it again, and he gets sideways almost off the corner. But look at this. You got Rodriguez, our pole sitter. He's up in the mix. He's pushing on the back of the 81.
Low line, the place to be right now, as they've got a square advantage over the high side. Macedo continues to lead them. Schultz, Buggs, all trying to get a good run through turns 1 and 2.
And you can just see the movement of these 2 lanes. Look at the 7. He's going to drop down in front of the 22 of Reno, the 11 of Cleveland on the outside. They've only have 3 cars, now 4. The 94 has help.
Schultz now gets a move. He will push in front of Macedo. He will take the lead away, and that's Essery behind him. He's led some laps. He wants to lead the last one, the most important one. 2 to go. Popsicle sticks in the air when they cross the line. Schultz, Essery, Macedo, your top 3.
The bottom line seems to be where you want to be. The outside lane starting to kind of dissolving a little bit here. The 48 is the only car that needs the help, and he can't get any of it right now.
He is stuck on his own island right now as Schultz and Essery continue to lead this race. When will Essery make a move? When will anybody else make a move? Going to the backstretch now, and it looks like Macedo's going to get out of line and lead that high line.
The 25 jumps out of line. Here comes Brandon Buggs with him. That's what you got to do. And here comes the outside of that. Oh, the 94 to the outside. They're almost touching as they get down to the turn 3.
Crazy block by the 94 to keep the lead, but he will drag the 25 and 81 with him. 1 to go when we hit the start-finish line. White flag in the air. Next one finishes.
57's around.
Rodriguez gets spun.
Fleissner hitting the brakes. We're still green.
We're still green. They've taken the white flag. Next flag will end the race. Schultz, Macedo, Bugs, your top three. Nobody getting out of line despite Rodriguez going for a spin. Schultz leads them through turns 1 and 2.
You got to be patient with your decision here. You got to back off the guy in front of you. You got to get the run to try to make this happen. They're all in the back stretch right now trying to do it.
Schultz, Macedo, first and second, high line, not getting any love. This could come down to those two cars. Schultz stays low. We are going through turns 3 and 4. Macedo going back and forth. Bugs now into the walls. We stay green. We'll stay with the leaders, Jeff.
We are still white flag to you by Thrustmaster. The 3 wide for the win. Here comes Schultz. He's going to turn him. He's turning across them. And it's going to be Essery. No, it won't be Essery. It's Macedo gets the win. Unbelievable.
The start-finish line in the grass, and unofficially he is being called your winner, Jeff. I think we need a replay of that. I am not sure exactly what happened, but right now, Dylan Macedo being scored your winner.
Something happened there for sure. It was crazy. We're going to watch that back and see just what happened here towards the end. He got turned, and the 25 went to the outside and said, hey, you know what? I think I got this done, man. And look at this right here. There's the contact between the 94 of Schultz and Essery, and really a heartbreaker for Schultz, man. He was so close to winning this race. I don't know. That's plate racing, man. They're all going for the win. The 25 Macedo to the outside, just like, hey, goodbye, and he'll get the win.
Macedo, what a finish, what a win. That's just textbook racing at a plate track at Daytona. Instead of trying to fight with those guys, trying to do any blocking, he just stayed his lane, and that's how you win the opening race at Daytona International Speedway. Dylan Macedo, your winner here, as he will burn it down in the Mahindra Tractors Ford Mustang.
And we will go back and we'll watch what happened at the 81 right there, because I know that was a favorite to win. We're just going to watch Macedo enjoying his win right now at Daytona for the season opener. What an incredible run. What an incredible race. Incredible finish. I'm a loss for words right now.
That was just an incredible finish all the way around. You saw 4 laps of incredible driving, and kudos to Race Control for not throwing the caution when things start getting pear-shaped. Let them race, let them get to the finish. Great racing all the way around, and an incredible win for Dylan Macedo.
Let's back it up. We got to find out what happened in those final laps. Everybody was trying to figure it all out there, and Dylan Macedo made the decision to not get involved in it, and it kind of worked out in his favor. Let's watch right around here. This is where the two make contact with the 11 of Kyle Cleveland, comes down and just absolutely clocks the 81.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened there or why. All I know is that he just came down on Bugs, and Bugs made a hard right turn and started collecting 3 more drivers himself. So very unfortunate. You know, Bugs is not going to be happy about that one. He was just trying to hold his race, and the guy behind him just hooked him, and that was not pleasant.
No, and it looks like Kyle Cleveland right there was just he thought he was clear, and he wasn't. One of those kind of deals. Yeah, same thing we saw the 81 with the 88. Just you think you're clear and you're not. But regardless, when you're back here, it came down to these top 3.
Oh, it absolutely did. These guys definitely had an incredible run. They were fighting all the way through, and they put on an incredible show to finish this race. Jeff, if this is the indication of what we're going to see this season, we could be in for the best season of OCRP racing yet.
Yeah, that was incredible to watch. And that's plate racing. So now it comes down to, the guys that either like it or they don't like it, one of the two. But it is plate racing. We're going to go ahead and get into some driver interviews next here at Daytona. Just be a few moments. We'll be with the drivers. All right, we are going to catch up with the leader. Well, we have somebody with a really bad, Austin Johnston with a really bad microphone. If we can mute that up, maybe, sorta. I'm gonna mute it myself. There we go. Okay, cool. Anywho, want to catch up to Dylan Macedo. What a wild finish! You get the win here at the season opener. Tell us about how it all went down.
Oh, it was kind of wild. It was kind of all over the place all race. You know, at the beginning of the race, I never would have had any idea I was gonna win the race. It was all over, you know, the back of the pack, getting involved in certain amount of incidents, but you know, I was able to bounce back last quarter of the race and luckily pulled it off.
And what an incredible drive it was. How squirrely were these cars in the draft?
Oh, they were squirrely. Anytime anybody was bumping you or, you know, anytime you were trying to push somebody, I mean, there was no downforce to any of the cars. So, yeah, it was definitely difficult to holding on to the car, but, you know, we made it work.
Well, congratulations to you for winning the season opener here at Daytona. And I'm going to take this down to Joe. Joe.
Let's catch up with the driver of the number 94 machine, Tyler Schultz. Tyler, walk us through those very last moments. What happened to your car, and what did you see out your windshield?
Well, I mean, I did that good run when I went from 5th to 1st, like in the trial with about 10 to go. And then from there, I was just managing, and I felt like I managed every run perfect. They had a big run on me on the backstretch with 2 to go with Bugs pushing the Macedo. And that was the one I was worried about, and I was able to block that. And then just coming to the line, I just wasn't sure who the 51 was going to go with, and so that's why I blocked high. Looking back, I think if I would have stayed low, I think the 51 would have done something else and not followed the 25. And that's what I was worried about blocking, but it is what it is. It was a fun race. Hell of a time.
Definitely a lot of fun out there. How were the cars running on the track? How hard were they to keep control over?
Turn 2 was wild. I felt like especially the last half of the race for some reason. I don't know if it's just because my tires were older or what, but off of turn 2, you had to turn to the right a little bit to save it. It was, especially if you were like the second or third car in line, it'd really check up. And so you just had to manage that and manage the sliding and all of that.
Next week, you transition from the big 2.5 mile track at Daytona to the small track at Martinsville. Number one, any grudges coming out of this race going into there? And number two, how do you make that transition?
Well, no grudges. I'm not looking forward to Martinsville. I don't think I've done more than a 15-lap run in iRacing on Martinsville without a caution. So I don't know. We'll see how that race goes.
Tyler Schultz, driver of the number 94 Exalta Chevrolet, Jeff.
Yeah, and what an incredible drive that was. We were really pulling for you there, Tyler, towards the end. I do want to catch up with Robert Bearder with a top 5 tonight after starting 28th. And then we'll talk to Kyle Cleveland next. But, Robert, you started 28th. You're up there towards the front. Is this just classic Daytona, or are you happy with everything?
Oh, I'm happy with everything. I always have Daytona circled on my calendar. It was touch and go there. I'm glad I saved a fast repair, even though I didn't end up using it. And it was interesting choosing lines at the end because I had a little front end damage, and anytime I was the lead car, it would just stall. So I kept having to make some dicey moves. Sorry to Fodorero if I cut him off at one point. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with a top 5. I'll take that every day.
There you go, top 5 for Robert Bearder and Kyle Cleveland. An underdog for sure these last couple seasons, up and down, not exactly where you want to be sometimes, but starting 37th and deciding to not take a qualifying lap, you got to be pretty happy with 4th.
First off, I just want to apologize to both Matt and Bugs. Just bad judgment on my part there in the last couple laps and took them both out. But got really lucky in the beginning of the race and made it through a couple of the big wrecks. I had 0x up until the very end there. It felt good. It was Daytona. Nothing different really. Excited that I finally got into the top 5 and ready for Martinsville.
Well, congratulations to you, Joe. I'm going to send it back to you.
Let's catch up with the 77 of Kyle Carpenter, who was running good all throughout tonight's race. Kyle, just what happened towards the end of the race? It looks like you just got quagmired in some bad traffic.
Yeah, just I think I made a couple bad blocks there for a couple times, and I had a blast getting there to the lead and leading those few laps and stuff, and just made a few bad blocks, and then just kind of got shuffled out, and then it just couldn't regroup it, and it just it is what it is, but it was a lot of fun.
Daytona looked like it was a lot of fun. Going into Martinsville next week, thoughts on how you're going to adjust from a super speedway to a small track?
Sadly, I won't be here next week. The way my work schedule is, I take a half a shift of vacation to make it here, and I won't be back for a couple races.
Well, we will certainly miss you during that time. Kyle Carpenter driving the number 77 machine, Jeff.
The last person I want to talk to is definitely going to be Jeffrey Spells. Spells brothers working together there. Some unfortunate things that happened, but hey, you end up in the top 10 after starting second.
Yeah, had a good qualifying run. I was actually intending on qualifying at the back right around after experiencing the truck race, but somehow I ended up P2. Led a few laps, pushed my brother a little bit. He led a few laps. Daytona debacles. Had some damage, used both of my fast repairs, rode around a lap down, somehow got it back, and that last lap melee picked my way through cars around the track and ended up with a top 10, so I can't complain.
It was definitely fun to watch you do exactly that. Starting second, I mean, you definitely held your own when it came up to there. It almost looks like we have a little bit more of an aggressive Jeff Spells into this season. Is that what you want to do? You want to be like, hey, I'm tired of running mid-pack, whatever. Like I'm here to race.
Actually, last season I transitioned to triples, and it did not fare well for me. So I went back to VR and getting back into a better mindset as far as racing goes.
Well, it sure is fun to watch you race, and good to see you making aggressive moves and blocks and doing everything you can to maintain it. And it shows, starting second and you finish in the top 10 in a plate race. So congratulations to you on that. Joe, you have any final thoughts?
What we saw today was an incredible race, some fast racing, some strong racing from a lot of incredible drivers here at Daytona International Speedway. And what we saw was just an incredible show of guys getting together and having a lot of fun on the fastest, the home of speed out here. They definitely gave it its name. They definitely showed you why it is the world home of speed out there. Going to be a very fun season. Looking forward to seeing the drivers navigate their way from this giant track to the short track at Martinsville. 200 laps at night next Thursday. You won't want to miss it here on Twitch.
All right, that's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much. We're going to let you get to your to your driver's meeting, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.
All right. Appreciate the broadcast.
Stand by parade.